Americans are outraged after this person right here, Francesca Hong, who is a Wisconsin governor candidate and a member of the Democrat Socialist of America, said that Thanksgiving should be canceled. In a resurface,
this is why people like her should not be in power. Canceling Thanksgiving, really? It's a great American holiday. It's a great American tradition, a great holiday. It brings people together, get to eat, and reflect. I don't understand how these people get elected, or why they still in America. If you don't like America, just leave. Just leave. If you don't like America, just leave.
old tweet in 2020 pulled up by Fox News, Francesca said, "Cancel Thanksgiving. Should have done this in 1621. If it takes a worldwide pandemic for us to realize we should stop celebrating colonialism and the original super spreader event that unalived indigenous folks and women, so be it." Wisconsin governor candidate Tom Tiffany says, "Just so everyone knows where I stand, I won't cancel Thanksgiving as governor." Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, great job of ballistic podiatry by the Wisconsin Democrat Party to be on the brink of nominating an absurdly leftist candidate. Hunter, honestly impressive. It's like she was made in a 2020 lab. Clay Travis, Wisconsin Democrats are nominating a crazy person for governor. And Ted Cruz, today's Democrats, who are communist, openly hate America.
Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the radical lunatics helping Democrats snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, okay? Because they're running in Democrat primaries, they're winning Democrat primaries, and it's likely that some of these candidates are going to lose general election races that otherwise Democrats should be winning. And there's a competition now between a couple candidates that I want to talk about for who can run to the center the fastest, right? Who can disavow all the radical stuff that they said before the past, right? And try to appear to be a sane person. You have Abdul El Sayed out in Michigan, who is a DSA back candidate, right? He's backed by Bernie. He's backed by AOC, Hassan Biker, right? He's backed by the socialists, right? But he swears up and down that he's not a socialist, right? And he doesn't believe in the most radical stuff that the socialists believe in, even though he clearly does, right? But again, he's doing this walk back. He's running, trying to run to the middle, even though he's not getting anywhere close to the middle, right? But he's trying to run to the right on some stuff because, again, he knows that in a general election, a lot of this stuff is not going to play well. In this video right here, we got to talk about Francesca Hong, who is running for governor of Wisconsin. Okay, and as she's running for governor of Wisconsin, she's getting exposed for all of the radical things that she said before in the past, right? And I'm telling you guys, this woman is as radical as it gets. She has said some of the craziest stuff that you can think of. Take a look.
For the first time, the lady from the 76 has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello,
First,
everyone.
I'd like to acknowledge that this building and all of us in
Welcome
it
to the
are on
chat.
occupied Ho-Chunk land. And to clarify, the lady from the 76 pronouns are she, her, hers. To begin with speech, I wanted to read out a testimony, permission to read from a... Abolishing policing is one segment of reforming and reevaluating our criminal justice system. Using those funds from using the funds after we've eliminated the access to eliminating funds for the police needs to be put into rehabilitation services, mental health services for those in prison, making sure that we are looking at decreasing our prison populations. Police officers enforce the law with state-sanctioned violence and then get excused for violating people's rights because they aren't expected to know the law. Minneapolis police spent nearly $5 million implementing trainings, increasing diversity, repairing to strengthen frayed relationships between cops and communities. It didn't work. We have to dismantle police unions and qualified immunity and start funding social services that work with domestic abuse cases, family services, and public education. Our state needs to ensure resolutions and accountability boards where the decision-making power is in the hands of representatives of those communities. And each city should have local control of how they dismantle their police systems to rebuild new community control systems rooted in preventative care and reducing harm. Defund the police, protect Black Black lives and build a care community. This is what we need. Introducing legislation to add Asian Americans to school curricula when in terms of, adding us on to American Indians, Black Americans, and Hispanics in terms of citizenship requirements for what needs to be in curriculum for school boards, going back to making sure that talking about racial identity and the role of race is ubiquitous in classrooms. And that, people don't see that type of change as a threat, that is in the service industry. We are finally having this conversation about, how our industry really did come from it and kind of is rooted in white supremacy. That tipping in itself, if we look at the history of tipping and how racist it is, and how
a white woman right there in the middle. You got a Karen right there in the middle. She's talking about white supremacy. This white guilt got to stop, man. You guys are not slave owners, and we are not slaves. That stuff happened in the past. You Karens and you Darrens, get out your feelings. Nobody's victims. Jesus Christ.
Very long time, and if you look at tipping now, how different the scales are in terms of who receives higher percentages of tips over other folks. I wasn't always aware of the struggles of other communities of color, because for me, assimilation always kind of took over, and so I did marry. My proximity to whiteness continues, right? My son is biracial. He's half white and half Korean, and I think navigating, what his identity is and how people perceive him is always at the back of my mind as well.
Wow. Wow. Guys, I gotta tell you, these people are not mentally well, right? I'm so serious, right? That's the only explanation at this point. Okay, the Democrat Party has been taken over by people who are not in a good state of mind. But, we've seen this before, right? When we talk about the whole proximity to whiteness thing, okay? We've seen this with the Ketanji Brown Jacksons, the Kamala Harrises, the Ilhan Omars, the AOCs, these women, these so-called women of color, right? Now we have the Francesca Hongs, right, of the world, of the Democrat Party. They run around talking about white supremacy. Oh, we hate the white man. The white man's so bad. The white man's so evil. But they love the great white pipe, right? They love the great white pipe. They do not miss an opportunity to hop on the great white pipe, right? They love it. Okay, can't get off of it, right? This woman got a half white son, half Korean son, okay? And there's no doubt in my mind he's going to have some identity issues, right? He's probably going to hate the white side of himself because his mom clearly, at least politically, when it comes to her politics, she don't like whites, even though she decided to sleep with a white man and have his kid, right? So again, I'm trying to figure out, how does that work? Right? How does that work, right? How do these people hate white people and hate white supremacy so much, but they love the great white pipe? It must be amazing. Right? It must be something about that great white pipe that these liberal women of color love so much that they hate the white man, but they like sleeping with the white man, right? They like having the white man's kids. They like getting married to the white man. They love white supremacy in the bedroom, right? I don't get it, to be honest with you. Somebody explain it to me, okay? We should study this. This should be a course of study in psychology, right? I'm so serious. Because I really don't understand his mindset. But that being said, again, this woman has said very radical, crazy things, okay, over the years. It is coming back to haunt her, right? Because that's what she actually believes, okay? Yep. Make no mistake about it. This is what they actually believe. So what we're witnessing here is the same thing that we're going to witness come the general election in 2028. I'm telling you, these people in these primaries, they're going to have to run radically far left in order to win. But once they come out of the primaries, then they're going to try to run towards the middle because they know they got to win in general, and it ain't going to work, right? It ain't happening. This woman is a radical. She belongs nowhere near office. I wouldn't let this woman run a lemonade stand.
Damn.
Well, and obviously Tom Tiffany, who, if you win the primary, will be the Republican that you're facing. He keeps bringing up your past positions, what you've said. He said the facts are louder than campaign spin was his comment earlier. You have said you do not support the full platform of the national DSA and that you are not endorsed by DSA National. Which parts of the Democratic Socialist platform do you not support?
I think looking at where the Senate is right now, abolishing the Senate, there's an opportunity for us to take that Democratic majority is not practical. I think that democratic socialism to me is ultimately rooted in care and making sure that people have their needs met. It's about democracy, fairness, and human rights. I am one of the proudest Packers fans, our publicly owned NFL team. I think when I talk about potholes and making sure people pay their fair share of taxes so that we're able to fix the roads, invest in rural communities, and have fire and EMS services that are available regardless of where you live in Wisconsin. These are the things that I'm talking about, issues that voters care about. Tom Tiffany is having to go back to a lot of my old tweets because his actions and his resume, what he's done is defunded healthcare, ripped food share away from our children, supported a national abortion ban. And last time I checked, he still hasn't said who won the 2020 election. Being an election denier is an automatic disqualifier. So when you are the weakest candidate for the Republicans.
So what about a person who denied their sex? Come on, man. Make it, what is it, a 6'7"? Come on, man. Y'all cool with people saying that they can cut themselves off and put a wig on and say a woman go into a woman's bathroom. But the man said election was rigged. It's an issue. Get the fuck out of here.
To put forth, it's likely that you're going to have to attack previous tweets of a candidate right now that's building a movement.
So you do support the Senate, the Supreme Court, and prisons, the existence of prisons.
Yes, I support all those things right now that are helping to ensure that there is public safety. But I do believe right now in our Supreme Court that we should be working to expand the court.
Wow. I think this woman is reading from a script, right? There's something so robotic and so off about her, right? It feels like she's very, very, very scripted. And she's trying her best to navigate these questions because, again, she knows.
You're right, Scott Black. They ain't gonna wake up to hitting their face. Like right now, New York is voters' remorse. Same thing with Chicago is voter remorse. Voting for these goofy mayors and governors. They seeing it, but I just hope they see it and it resonates and they go to the vote red, vote with facts and not in their feelings.
Knows that she's in bed with radical lunatics. This is a card-carrying member, right? A dues-paying member of the DSA, right? She pays her dues.
Right,
okay, she shows up with her monthly check. Okay, it pays the socialists. Okay, which it's kind of crazy that a DSA membership ain't free, right? It turns out that costs money, right? But now she's trying to again navigate some of the things that are more unpopular from their platform, right? And trying to, walk back from it, trying to pretend like she doesn't believe in it. But she does, right? And that's what people got to understand. Look at what happened with Abigail Spanberger, right? Very simple. She ran as a so-called moderate, okay? And for all intents and purposes, she was known as kind of a moderate-ish Democrat, right? But as soon as she got into office, she started governing like a far-left lunatic. Now, you're getting that from a Democrat that, again, was moderate-ish, okay? Imagine voting in a Democrat who is a flat-out leftist that's trying to run to the middle, right? And not even running to the middle. I mean, walking, right? Like slowly walking, right? Because they're not running. They're not trying to move that far to the right. They're just trying to simply, back away from the most radical stuff while at the same time maintaining a radical platform because, again, they got to do this performance for the radical lunatics. But imagine somebody like her, who actually is a real Kool-Aid drinker, right? She's a real Kool-Aid drinker. When she gets into office, she's going to do all the most radical stuff, right? All the most radical. She's going to do all of it, okay? Make no mistake about it.
You talked about your past positions that he keeps highlighting and, obviously likely would continue to do so before November should you win. One thing that they brought up as well was a post from you in 2021 where you said Americans should cancel Thanksgiving, should have done this in 1621. The post has been deleted. Yep. Republicans have been highlighting it. Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
Now she's begging the billionaires,
I'm a chef,
millionaires and billionaires.
And one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. Now, I always think my hospitality background in owning a restaurant for 7-8 years, that bringing folks around the table to share conversation and build community is always a good thing. But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities. And so I think I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views, but views can evolve. And the position that I'm running for right now, and I think my background as a chef, will actually help me become a better governor that's able to bring more people to the table.
Wow.
Francesca Hong, thank you for joining us.
Wow. Notice how she didn't answer the question. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Caitlin Collins asked her, do you still believe in canceling Thanksgiving? She didn't answer the question, which means that the answer to the question is yes, right? This woman basically said that Thanksgiving is a rough time for a lot of people, right? I guess because of, the woke history, right? The woke version of history behind Thanksgiving, right? It's like, well, at that point, again, you might as well just own up to it and say, yeah, right, I want to cancel Thanksgiving. But this is a terrible answer, right? This is absolutely terrible because, again, just imagine how normal people like, this woman wants to cancel Thanksgiving.
You said Americans should cancel Thanksgiving, should have done this in 1621. The post has been deleted. Republicans have been highlighting it. Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
I'm a chef. And one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal.
You can just say no, you don't want to cancel Thanksgiving. Why are you talking about your culinary background? Okay, Ratatouille.
I always think my hospitality background in owning a restaurant for 7-8 years, that bringing folks around the table.
Bringing folks around the table, bro. She said bringing folks around the table. And it's the gender neutral folks too, bro. She's got an X instead of a KS. She also has the gender neutral folks. She's bringing them around the table by being a chef. You could have just said, no, you don't want to cancel Thanksgiving, bro.
I think I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views, but views can evolve. And
Zoran Mamdani answering this probably makes one cute joke, okay? Maybe a 5-second joke. Then he pivots to affordability for New Yorkers. You don't have to drag it on for 1:30 for 90 seconds of a terrible, easily clippable clip of you saying, you're a chef and you're going to bring us around the table. Like, bro, come on. Dude, take notes. The DSA, if you want to learn from somebody, learn from your king.
The position that I'm running for right now, and I think my background as a chef will actually help me become a better governor.
It'll help me become a better governor. I'm pretty tolerant of further left voices, but I don't know about her, Chief. I don't know.
Democrats in Wisconsin really need to rethink nominating Francesca Hong for governor because she has demonstrated terrible political judgment in several recent interviews.
Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
I'm a chef. And one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. I always think my hospitality background in owning a restaurant for 7-8 years, that bringing folks around the table to share conversation and build community is always a good thing. But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities. And so I think I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views.
It just baffles me that someone running for political office this long can't do what you do with every single question you get from reporters, which is pivot back to your strengths. You could say the only people canceling Thanksgiving in Wisconsin are Republicans because they've cut SNAP by X dollars. You could say that Republicans have done nothing about rising food prices and have made costs even more expensive expensive with tariffs and letting egg companies collude on prices. There are so many easy answers to a question like this. Instead, we got that mealy-mouthed word salad of an answer, which is just totally unacceptable for someone running for governor in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, right now, Francesca Hong is the heavy favorite to win, both in prediction markets and in polling. Right now, the only alternative is David Crowley, and that is who I would be voting for in Wisconsin, because this state is far too important, because Democrats, for the first time in a long time, have a shot to take over the Wisconsin State Assembly and control all branches of government, which has huge implications for congressional gerrymandering going forward. And yes, Francesca Hong can still win this race because Republicans are also nominating a terrible candidate, and the year in general is going to be very good for Democrats. But if you want DSA-style candidates to win, especially in swing states, they need to become palatable for the general electorate. And part of that is learning how to answer reporters' questions effectively and pivot back to your strengths. And so if I were on Francesca Hong's campaign, I would have a serious talk about how to handle questions like this, because there's only going to be more scrutiny going forward, and Republicans are going to unload tens of millions of dollars of negative ads going over all of these posts and recent statements. And so you just got to be a lot more careful.
Yeah, she's cooked, right? She's so cooked, okay? She is not the political animal or athlete, whatever you want to call it, that Zoran Mondani is, right? I got to give Zoran credit. He's a good card artist, right? He's probably the most talented card artist in the Democrat Party, right? He surpassed Gavin Newsom when it comes to card artistry, right? In the way that he packages his shit sandwiches to New Yorkers, right? So, you know, hey, at the end of the day, you got to give him credit for that, even though I believe that his policies are absolutely terrible. They're going to be terrible for New York City. Eventually, he's not going to be able to card artist his way through bad outcomes, but it's going to take time. When it comes to this woman, she can't do that. She can't do it. She just doesn't have it in her. Abolish Thanksgiving. You know, again, she could have pivoted to attacking Republicans, right? She could have did all that, but she didn't, right? She basically gave a Kamala Harris-esque word salad.
Word salad, baby.
When, you know,
With some-
ultimately today,
with
like I
some
said, I mean,
dressing on it.
she's doing that because that's what she believes, right? She actually believes in canceling Thanksgiving, right? So part of it is her not being able to lie effectively, right? Because let's be real, she's trying to run away from stuff that she actually believes in because she's trying to win. But at the same time, there's certain stuff that she's probably not comfortable lying about, right? At some point, you can only lie so much, right? So maybe the woman has a conscience. I don't know, right? I don't know what it is. But again, clearly she's not a political athlete, right? And somebody like her, again, I just think that she's going to lose. I think she's going to lose. Okay? Same thing with El Said. I think the guy out there in Maine that they got that replaced Graham Plattner. Yeah, again, this is part of the reason why I'm not buying it.
What up, man? What's up?
Democrats are way too radically left. And the Democrats are a moderate party right now. I think they sweep. I think they would sweep hard, right? But because they're too far left, I think that the blue wave narrative is questionable. In fact, I think that, again, it's still a pretty decent chance that Republicans can keep the House and the Senate, especially the Senate, because even if Republicans lose a race that they should win, like, for example, they lose out in Texas, which, you know, again, I'm hoping that Texans don't put James Talafrico in the Senate, right? I'm hoping that they don't do that. But let's just say that happens, right? Let's say Republicans lose Texas. Even if they lose a Texas Senate seat, again, look at Michigan, right? They could easily flip Michigan. So, you know, I think something like that is probably going to end up happening, where Republicans, are going to lose a surprise seat, but then they're gonna win a surprise seat too, because again, you have these radically far left candidates running in these races, and James Talarico is one of these radically far left candidates too. Again, he's just a better political athlete when it comes to navigating being a far left lunatic, right? There's some people who can sell it, right? And there's some people who can't. This woman can't sell it, right? She can't sell it. She clearly is not that talented when it comes to this stuff. And I personally think that's going to lead to her demise, right, in the general, okay? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Do you think it will take vigilantes to actually make a difference here inside of Europe?
I'm the first vigilante here. They're gonna fear me.
¿Por qué mujeres no vinieron aquí?
Now they're all coming down, being walked down the mountain right now.
Here in Spain, they received over 60,000 migrants who came across from the Moroccan border into the country of Spain. This is mainland Spain right behind me. However, right now I'm heading over to Ceuta, which is actually a town in Spain. However, it is on the African continent. There's a few towns that are part of Spain that are on the African continent, and Ceuta is one of them. Literally over 60,000 migrants came across their border. A lot of people are wondering what actually happened, so therefore we're heading there right now to see it for ourselves. These migrants quite literally came over by the truckloads into Spain, and people are wondering if it's a coordinated attack or if it was just the Moroccans that were coming over and seeking for a better life, or if it was an actual invasion. And just recently in April, the Prime Minister of Spain came out with a plan to give over 500,000 migrants legal status here inside of the country. Right now we're heading over to Ceuta to see it for ourselves. We'll be speaking with the migrants themselves, with the Spaniards, and we'll even be going to the border to see what actually happened here inside this town. And right now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, we're so close to 2 million subscribers. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and now let's see what is actually happening. Here we go. Now to start, I met up with citizen vigilante by the name Mancia, who saw and predicted that the migrants were coming just days before, and now let's go see what is happening. We've arrived now, and we're here with Mancia. Mancia's from here in Spain. Right now we have a group of men right here. Look, they're covering up their faces. ¿Eres de Morocco? You from Morocco?
No ladrones, no carteristas.
¿Por qué vinieron aquí a España?
No hablar mucho.
Trabajo.
Trabajando, no carteristas, no ladrones.
Cruzaste nadando. Nadando. Okay. These people don't want to leave. They want to go to Europe. They want to go to Spain. So that's their mission here. That's why they crossed by swimming.
On July 31st was the day when quite literally 60,000 people came across. And right now, a lot of those young men have returned back to Morocco. But now you just have groups of these men walking around this town. Just like this one right here.
These groups are creating insecurity. The military are here as well.
This is Morocco.
He said one thing. He said, this is Morocco. One of them said, this is Morocco because they think this is Morocco, but Spain, this has been Spanish since 400 years. 400 years before Morocco got his independence. So it doesn't make any sense. But still they say this is Morocco.
Is this the first stop for most migrants to head up into the rest of Europe?
Yes. This is the main door, the main gate. Yeah.
And right now we're heading to the border. Here we go. We've made it here to the border, and a lot of these migrants are actually now going back to Morocco. So for instance, right here we have a group of Moroccans that are now going back to Morocco. So right here is where they all came into the country, and right now they're going back to Morocco. Now there are still thousands upon thousands of migrants out inside the city, and we'll be finding them in just a moment. However, it's super important for you guys to understand exactly what happened at the border. So this is the border right now. We do have some people that are turning themselves in, and now they're saying just go back to Morocco. And it looks like you guys do have some floaties out now to stop people from coming in. Were those there before?
The thing is, I don't understand why they didn't put this before when this started. Why now? Why now? That's my question.
Do you think it was coordinated to let them all come in that day?
It's coordinated because I cannot imagine a country like Morocco, which is investing heavily in cybersecurity, in military, how these people can get out of control in this country. It's unbelievable. Nobody can believe this is not coordinated.
You guys are going back to Morocco?
Yes.
¿Cuándo viniste aquí?
Ask them why they came here and what's the situation like in Morocco.
They came thinking that they will have work and food here, and there is not, so they go back.
How come everyone came in flip-flops? ¿Por qué todos vinieron aquí en chanclas?
¿Por qué?
Viva Harraga. Viva Harraga وفسحة كمان العالم.
What was it like the day everyone started coming in?
Lo que sea, esto es un jaleo muy grande.
Han hecho un alboroto total.
So now we have another person going back to Morocco. When everyone came through, they actually closed down all the shops because they were afraid of the towns were about to get looted. So when all the migrants came over here, they thought they were going to get food, they were going to try to get jobs, but all the stores were closed. Everyone just came through the border. They swam from the Moroccan side. Those floaties weren't there at the time, so they all just swam in or walked across the border here.
They were swimming and walking through these rocks. Someone crossing.
So right now you have a group of people trying to swim in right now, and then you also have people being taken back into Morocco from the Spanish police. While people are actively trying to swim into Spain right now, you actually have them also sending the people back to Morocco at the same time. Looks like you had the Navy out here. Where were they out the day when everyone came through?
They came the day after this ship in order to provide support.
And how did you know that people were going to start crossing into Spain the day that they did? Because you came all the way from Madrid.
Yeah, I came all the way over from Madrid by car because from Monday I started to see in the news that a little amount of people was doing that, but not at this dimension. It started slowly and then got completely out of hands.
And so you saw it ahead of time, but the military and the police didn't.
Correct. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but yes.
So you think they could have done something to stop this?
Yeah, they could did something beforehand, for sure. That's why all the Spanish people think that this was kind of coordinated.
As we get away from the border, people are still in floaties coming across. You have all these people sleeping here in the back of this shop right here, and now you have lines of people waiting to get food. What did you think when you saw all these people coming across? Would you say this was an invasion?
Yes, an invasion is armed with weapons. I think this is an occupation because they are not coming with weapons. But it's an occupation, for sure. The people from Ceuta, they couldn't even eat. They couldn't even go to the supermarket for 3 days. The people of Ceuta was suffering this situation. They couldn't go to supermarket, they couldn't go to the pharmacy, they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go to the street because a lot of security, a lot of big groups of guys hanging out in the street.
And now we're coming upon a big group of men, and there's no woman. I haven't seen a single woman going back or coming.
1% was women.
So here's everyone coming in right now. It looks like they're opening up the shops for people to come in and get some food. Is everyone from Morocco? Todos son de Morocco? Everyone's from Morocco. ¿Y por qué vinieron aquí? Why'd you guys come here? ¿Por qué vinieron?
For trabajo, for mangiare, for colci. No tengo Marruecos, no mangiare, no trabajo Marruecos.
How old are you guys? ¿Cuántos años tiene?
23.
Me llamo Hamza. ¿Cuántos años? 21.
Pregúntales si estaba organizado desde Marruecos o por redes sociales.
لا ما قالوا الناس في تيك توك. قول لهم مغرب وما اللي
The police in Morocco, they told them to come.
Right now we have this young kid translating for us. We just asked them if they came through because of social media and TikTok, and they just said that the Moroccan police let them in. Why'd you come here to Spain? ¿Por qué vinieron aquí a España?
Porque no tengo vivis a Marruecos.
¿Y por qué?
Porque no tengo vivis, no tengo trabajo, no tengo dinero.
The situation here is getting a little dicey right now. Everyone just comes out yelling. Nobody really knows what language. They're speaking English, Spanish. They're speaking broken Spanish and Moroccan.
Amigo, gracias, muchas gracias.
Ahora a Londres, ¿dónde vas?
Marruecos.
Europa.
Para Europa.
Todo.
¿Qué parte?
Nosotros todo Europa. Hasta, te digo yo, hasta Rumanía. Rusia necesita mano obra barata, Marruecos manda. Derechos humanos, no hay Marruecos, no hay derechos humanos. No, pues vamos a buscarlo. Hasta en China, derechos humanos.
So here you have a group of them that all came through from Morocco. Where are you guys going now? Paris, Londres.
Almanya, Bruxelles, Belgica, Danemark, هولندا. I love you.
And how old are you guys? 28. He's 28. 21. ¿Por qué mujeres no vinieron aquí?
Mujeres a la casa, como dice en el Islam.
All these men right here, not a single woman in sight. He said something about woman in Islam. What does Islam think about women?
He was saying that Islam says that women must be kept at home.
So they leave all their wives back in their country where there's no money, no jobs, no food, but then they come here all by themselves?
Correct.
You as a woman, how did you feel seeing 40,000, 60,000 migrants come across the border here?
Me sentí amenazada. No podía salir con el bebé. No podíamos salir porque yo vivo en un ático, pero tengo vecinos que vivían en el primero y tenían miedo de que saltaran a las casas. Es peligroso. Porque cuando vienen en avalancha es peligroso.
How do you feel knowing that the women here feel threatened? I'm on asado.
I feel very, very angry. I cannot understand how we let our own woman live with fear, running to their homes with the baby. Like, I don't want to stay in the street. I go home. Thank you. I'm not gonna allow this. Any Spanish guy shouldn't allow this. If we are men, if we are real men, we should do something right now.
And you're the only one out here.
I'm the only one here from Madrid. No one didn't came with me. No one wanted to come with me.
Do you think if strong men don't stand up for countries in Europe and America, they'll eventually fall?
Yes. If we don't wake up now, we will fall for sure. This is our moment. Wake up, Europe. Wake up.
Do you think it will take vigilantes to actually make a difference here inside of
I'm
Europe?
the first vigilante here. They're gonna fear me. I'm sick of this push. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of seeing Spanish women, running away in our own country. I'm sick of this.
The police here only came after it took place. They're not reacting to the cause. They're not reacting to what actually caused it to happen.
They're not reacting. They are under the orders of the government. They cannot do anything. It's the people in the ground, only the citizens can do something. Citizens, wake up. This is our moment. We need to wake up as citizens, as European citizens.
Now we got word that there are people up in the top of the mountain hiding from the police, so we headed to the tip top. Because of how the situation got, people left the border and they started heading up the mountain of this small city, and now they're up top here in the mountain. This is where they're sleeping and staying away from the authorities up here on the top of these mountains. They're coming down right now. You have a group of them coming through right here. And this is where they're sleeping to stay away from the authorities. Right there, they had that man running away. So they're staying up here inside of the mountain, and then they're staying away from the authorities. There's another one coming out of the mountain right there. And now the military's coming through right now. Military just came through, yelled at the person, now they're running back up into the mountain. Look, now there's another one coming through the mountain right here. Everyone just coming out, popping out of this mountain right now. 2 guys right there, another guy right there, another guy right there. 3 guys just popped out of the mountain. And this guy just ran right into the bush. And the other guys who just ducked out of the mountain just came and jumped into this brush right here. Morocco? Barcelona? So now all these guys are just coming out of the mountain. They can't get food, but they all have cigarettes somehow. ¿Qué pasó aquí?
ضربونا با الله اكبر اشهد ان لا اله الا الله واشهد ان محمد رسول الله قولوا.
No. And right now they have people going on runs with sticks to fight off anybody that potentially comes their way. That's how crazy it's getting right now here. You have people living up here in the mountains. There's 20 people living behind that bush right there. These guys are all going to Madrid, and runners are running around with sticks to hit anyone if they try to attack them on their run. In Spain, are you guys able to have guns? Can you own a gun?
No, it's forbidden. But military people and police, they have their own guns, and I know a lot of people here is bringing their personal weapons.
So if you're like that runner right there who doesn't have a gun, you're carrying a stick.
Yeah, correct. He's carrying a stick. A lot of people is carrying sticks. Groups of local people with sticks everywhere. Everyone, for security reasons, man.
Wow, so not guns, but sticks.
Yeah, not guns, but sticks, like in the medieval.
Welcome to Europe.
Welcome to Europe. Welcome to the medieval age.
Why do you think your politicians are allowing this to happen?
If they allow this to become the third world, they know, people in power, they know that they will be able to do whatever they want. They will increase their power because a ruler in the third world is a real ruler.
And so you're saying in a first world country where there's order, that way the politicians can't take that much power.
Yeah.
Because there is order.
The thing here is that people in power know that if they become this the third world, they will increase their power and their money even more. That's the thing, because they can control the society in an easier way. I mean, if you keep this full of third worlders, you can do whatever you want if you are in power.
And your prime minister right now, according to Polymarket, he has the second best odds of becoming the prime minister again, but his odds are very low on Polymarket. But your prime minister just created a way for over 500,000 migrants to get legal status here inside of Spain. Do you think your Prime Minister Sanchez is trying to up his odds and his probability of becoming the Prime Minister once again by importing all these migrants?
Yeah, because he knows that he has a strategy, a very clear strategy. He gets the money from the taxes, from the working people in Spain, and he gives away some help to these migrants, and then he easily can get boats. He's basically buying boats. Basically buying boats. That's all about that. It's all about power and money. People in church only want to have more power and more money. And the easiest way to do it is to fill this country with third worlders.
So right now on Polymarket, Pedro Sanchez actually has a very low probability of winning this election, but he has created a way for over 500,000 migrants to get legal status here inside of Spain, and then they'd be able to vote. As we're driving through town, all the shops are closed down right now. This shop's closed. This shop's closed. We have the shop owner right here standing outside of his store. The military's coming through the streets right now. This shop's closed. This shop's closed.
Pharmacy.
This shop's closed. All the shops here in downtown are closed right now. You had one shop that was open and the shop owner was standing outside of it.
All of the businesses closed, yeah, because they don't want to be robbed.
Now we're at a cemetery, and here at this cemetery, you have a group of migrants who have taken the cemetery. There's a fountain over there, a fountain over here, and a fountain down below. They're using the cemetery to shower and clean out all their clothes. So this is quite literally where they're showering. They're using the cemetery to shower, kind of a representation of what's actually happening here. The people died for this country, and now you have migrants that are showering on their graves. It's kind of crazy to think about. You as a man from Spain, to see that migrants are now showering on the dead graves of people who died for Spain, how does that make you feel?
If my ancestors, these are my ancestors. These, all of them are my ancestors. If they wake up, they will say, this is insane, this is insane. Send them back immediately. Immediately.
And now right here, it looks like the military has grabbed a group of the guys that are up in the mountain. Now they're all coming down, being walked down the mountain right now. And once again, not a single woman in sight. This is all just a group of men right here, all being escorted down the mountain from the Spanish military. There's another group back there as well. And right here in the mountains, we have another group of people who are getting pushed down the mountain from the Spanish military. It looks like the Spanish military, the Spaniards are starting to do something about this migrant crisis. It has gotten really, really bad. All these people are now fleeing, coming down the mountain, being pushed down from the Spanish military. And the police are coming up right now. As the police made a push to get everyone down the mountain, due to the sheer amount of people that crossed into the country when they opened up the gates, there were so many people and so many children that entered. We headed to a camp where there were tons of abandoned children. Familia?
No, mi familia.
¿Cuántas personas vinieron con usted? How many people came with you?
Es muchas personas.
Why'd you come here? ¿Por qué vinieron aquí? Why'd you come?
Why did you come?
A
España. Sí, a Madrid, Barcelona, cualquier sitio.
How old are these kids right here?
15, 16, 18, 15, 14.
15, 14 years old. And where are their parents?
Sí, están en Marruecos. Cada uno a su cosa.
Are you guys nervous?
Tranquilo.
Lamine Yamal or Ronaldo?
رونالدو بكي لامين يامال رونالدو الوالدة تعيش الوالدة.
I didn't know what questions to ask him. I was like, Lamine Yamal or Ronaldo? Adios. How old are you guys?
Me llamo Anas, 21, soy Marruecos, no trabajo, no. Viva España.
15
You're 15 years old.
15 years.
Sus padres?
Español.
بابا وماما في مارويكوس.
No papa, no mama.
امريكان ساكن في فاس جينا لهنا باش نمشيو اسبانيا.
موراكو is beautiful. احنا الدراري ديالنا ما عندهمش مستقبل ما فهمتيني خاص.
So here they're all showering. This is where these guys have set up. They're showering out of these buckets right here. It's actually really sad to see this. This is how they're cleaning their clothes. This is where these guys are getting their water at to shower. They're showering out of buckets right now. They're getting it from this pipe underneath the street right now. And they're all showering, washing their clothes out of this bucket. It's actually just really sad to see that this is what the situation's like here at the border of Spain and Morocco. They're using laundry detergent for shampoo. We finally found our first two women here this whole entire video. How come you came to Spain?
Pedro Sanchez.
Pedro Sanchez good?
Sanchez good.
Viva España.
Viva España. Viva España. No Morocco.
How old are you?
17.
He's 17 years old.
أنا volante 15.
15.
Marocco no trabajo no school.
So all these guys here, like Pedro Sanchez, a lot of people are saying that he's the reason why all this is happening. These are the first women we've seen this entire video. Why flip-flops? Everyone's got flip-flops. To swim. We found out where they're all living. 13 years old. So all these kids are coming over here. 13 years old. This kid's 14. And they're all here by themselves.
Menores.
Y padres, mamá, papá?
No, mamá, no papa.
No trabajo, no tengo.
No, Marruecos للشارع.
No
الشارع الخاص.
Papa, mama, España.
So now we came to this spot. This is where all the kids came. I have no idea what they're saying. ¿Qué está la situación en Morocco?
No traven, no hospitality, no school, no AIDS,
No food, no eat.
no AIDS, no more.
Yeah, vamos. All right. I'm putting a lot of trust in these kids right here. Wow, this is where they're all at down here. This is between the border of Morocco and Spain now. We're literally right by the border wall. The border's right there. ¿Qué pasa? Look, these people are just getting shade underneath the cars. This is how bad the situation is right now. The kids are here, quite literally doing anything just to get shade right now. No food, no water. The police are down here. ¿Quién habla español? Español. All right, we're looking for someone who speaks Spanish. This is a crazy situation right now. I'm looking for someone to speak Spanish. No one speaks Spanish. Everyone's saying over here they speak Spanish, but no one speaks Spanish.
Español, dime viva los españoles.
I have no idea what they're saying. Pedro Sanchez.
Viva España. Fanatic. Solo fanatic.
Viva le roi d'Espagne.
ولاد سلا تحياتي ولاد سلا.
I have no idea what's going on.
تحياتي ترايد رينكو الحومة الزاوية الواسي. تحياتي الواسي الحومة الزاوية.
¿Quién habla español?
واحد ما كيدوي اسبانيول.
We're picking up quite the crowd right here.
Pedro Sanchez, I love you.
English? Yo hablo inglés. Why'd you guys come here to Spain?
for better chances, better opportunities. We were not working in Morocco. We came.
You came?
Everyone came and we came.
How many of you came? How many?
Me and my friends were like four. We're four.
Thank you. Four of you guys came. And what do you guys think about Pedro Sanchez?
Pedro Sanchez قول له راجل مزيان قول له
Pedro Sanchez.
good very good جيد
Bueno. Mucho bueno.
mucho bien
Viva,
gracias gracias
Viva Pedro Sanchez.
viva bravo Pedro Sanchez I love you
And what do you where are you going now?
We can't go nowhere right now. They should take us somewhere.
Where do you want to go?
Spain.
What part?
I don't know.
And how old are you?
قال لك علاش باغي نمشي اسبانيا
How old are you?
17.
17 years old. And what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do for work?
I want to study. I want to study. I want to finish my studies in Spain.
In Spain.
Yeah.
And after Spain, where do you want to go?
I'm not sure. I just want to go to Spain right now.
And
This is the goal right now.
And how do you plan to get out of Quetta?
Quetta?
How are you going to leave? In a boat?
Through asylum.
Through asylum.
Yeah.
And what are you fleeing in Morocco? What is life in danger in Morocco, or how come you want to leave?
You want my opinions in Morocco? I can't say that. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
Are people dying there? Is it dangerous?
People are dying. Yes, of course. People are dying from hunger, from not enough work opportunities.
Wow, so right here we have people just sharing water. Like, this situation is so bad right here right now. No one even knows. Yeah. Señor, ¿hablas español? English? Oh, how are you? Good. Where are you from?
I came from Paris.
You came from Paris?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you
I'm journalist.
journalist?
Yeah.
And what do you think about what's going on here?
It's horrible.
It's very bad.
It's very bad. Very, very bad. So bad. I don't know.
And how come you think they allowed this to happen?
Sorry?
Well, the number of homeless living on the streets of Los Angeles is going up for the first time in 2 years.
LA Mayor Karen Bass released a lengthy statement blasting the Trump administration's policies.
So, homelessness in Los Angeles is headed this direction, and the mayor wants to blame President Trump instead of policies that encourage people to live on the streets, which she and the governor are proud of. However, now that these are backfiring, it's time for someone else to take the heat for this. But the problem is the voters in Los Angeles, they're aware of who's running the place, and they're not happy about it.
Street homelessness is up across the city of LA by 3.5%, according to a CBS LA source close to LA Mayor Karen Bass. The count is certain to become a political issue in this year's mayoral race. Bass's campaign to lower homelessness, her critics will pounce on this, as will her challenger.
Here on Skid Row, it always looks like nothing is being done. This annual count found more than 45,000 people experiencing homelessness in the city of Los Angeles.
How would you rank the homelessness problem now compared to your 73 years in LA?
Oh, it's out of control. It's
As bad as you've ever seen it?
This is as bad as I've ever seen it.
If the city offered you some form of housing, would you take it? He said he would move into housing if it was offered, but until then, he said, I don't have anywhere else to go.
It seems like you're deflecting to it's because we're not getting funding and so on. Do you bear any responsibility for what's happened?
Absolutely. I've never shied away from responsibility.
There's a fascinating connection between how much the purveyors of human misery in America hate the president and the rise of communism. And what none of the communists supporting Karen Bass, the anointed leader of Los Angeles, will dare admit is that there are other cities in California that are turning a corner on homelessness in their very same state. And how are these other cities doing it? Well, they're getting rid of the homeless industrial complex's grip on their societies, closing down non-productive shelters and getting encampments off the street permanently. But that doesn't happen in LA. You see, when an encampment here gets cleared, it just seems to come right back almost immediately. And this is a real problem because business owners don't like homeless encampments. The law-abiding don't like homeless encampments. People don't enjoy sleeping on the streets. And if we would just do something about this problem in one particular city that we're already doing elsewhere, maybe things would change. But instead, things are getting worse because those making money off the needy don't want any of what you see on the screen to go away, because every single person living on the streets is another excuse for more of other people's money, which these ever-profitable nonprofits need to solve a never-ending crisis that just won't stop growing. And for years, that crisis was blamed on things like high rent, the events of 2020, expensive groceries, not enough millionaire taxes or billionaire taxes, and now the latest victim of this is the president. And that brings us to the real reason we're witnessing the mayor of Los Angeles, who runs the place, blame her problems on somebody else. This is a communist takeover, and if the communists want to be victorious, they need an enemy that embodies all of America, and what better enemy than the president of our country? And this is also not just a battle for control over Los Angeles. That battle was lost the day Spencer Pratt was ejected from the primary. Instead, the fight here is to pin problems like those in Los Angeles, which exist in every communist stronghold in this country, on our president and on those of us who buy our own groceries and earn our own money so that our achievements can become theirs, enriching them so they can live large, while life for those trying to make it on their own looks like this.
Line 53, Willowbrook Station. Regular fare, $1.75.
Hello.
What's the difference between the buses in Los Angeles and the buses in New York? Nothing. You've got communists running both places, and the communists are afraid that people are going to make a connection between the misery they inflict on their societies and them, which is why they want to have this whole affordability thing tied to the president somehow, even though none of these communists are sure why the problems they experience.
Now I get it when they say slavery is a choice, because people keep voting the same bullshit. For the last over 100 years, the Democrat Party, the blacks and some browns, and want things to be different, and then have the nerve to go from a blue state to a red state and vote blue. Like, no, you're in a red state, vote red. What is you doing?
Don't happen in states like Florida, where things are cheaper. But absurdities aside, these latest numbers that show an increase in homelessness are very concerning to everyone, and here's why.
My first take on the homelessness count numbers is that, generally speaking, they're not the most credible numbers in the world, right? The formula varies from year to year. Different people conduct it year to year.
They can do the statistics however they want. They can cook the books any way they find reasonable, and the best they can come up with is proof that communism is failing. That's a disaster, and every American should be aware of that. And this explains why Skid Row, I guess, will always be Skid Row. Look at this.
It's just a sort of basic question that I think most people would ask, like just normal people who don't know anything about the policy and the debates over what's the right way to do it. Why don't the people in charge just come here and in a simple, basic way, clean it up, systematically clean it up. Take people, put them in a safe setting. We've got lots of money, lots of space in California. Right. Why doesn't that happen?
Because someone, for example, like LA Can, which is another organization, they get very, very upset and they sue the LAPD when they come and do street cleaning down here.
Oh!
And they're basically saying that their encampments are their property.
What?
Property police can't enter. And they sue the police more than any other organization.
They sue the cops.
The same way when we try to remove dogs, they come and they follow us around.
So who's doing the suing?
Yeah.
LA Can.
LA Can, what's that?
Yeah, it's an organization
It's a non-profit.
Okay.
So, and they're working very closely also with Bass's office.
Oh, so you got nonprofits connected with the mayor who sue to stop all of the encampment cleanups, all of the outreach. They claim that it's hostile. They claim that it's wrong. They stand against it. They get funding to try and fix the problem their way, which never seems to happen. And they just so happen to be in league with the mayor, who's looking for someone else to pin all of her problems on and has chosen President Trump for some reason.
Annabelle, the reality is if you make your way across Los Angeles today, nearly everyone will have something to say about homelessness. The people I spoke with today are not surprised to hear that the number of homeless have increased in Los Angeles, but you can see the small encampment behind me near 60th
There's rats
and
in that
Vermont in South
encampment.
LA.
You can see
People
them.
here say that this specific encampment highlights part of the problem with homelessness in this city, because this alley you're looking at.
Glad you guys stopped by the chat and everything. The YouTube channel, appreciate it. Name's Deontay. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, thank you.
It was cleaned up and the encampment was removed on Monday, and it's already back.
Wow. So the local news says every single person on the streets has an opinion on this ever-growing humanitarian crisis, which doesn't seem to be getting any smaller, even though the amount of money that gets removed from everyone's paycheck to try to fix it every year keeps getting bigger. And they want answers. And they know who's running the city. They know who gets that money and does absolutely nothing with it. And
We are definitely growing. 2,285 subscribers. Thank you, guys. We are growing.
that's a big problem if you're the mayor of this place. That's a huge problem if your communist policies are about to get tied back to you as the politician who brought this misery on people during an election year. You've got to understand there is a massive political push, and there are people telling Karen Bass right now, hey, look, you better blame the president because we need to spin your problems and all of our problems that we're creating throughout this country on him. That's how we win the midterms, is we have to tell people that the unaffordability is because of Trump's tariffs, that the high rents aren't because of something like a formally open border or policies that stop people from building apartments. Nope, that's got to be Trump's fault too. Everything's got to be Trump's fault. And here's what voters have to say about this. Watch.
He weighed in after news broke that the number of homeless has increased in Los Angeles. George Polk has lived in LA for 73 years.
Wow.
How would you rank the homelessness problem now compared to your 73 years in LA?
Oh, it's out of control.
Yeah.
As bad as you've ever seen it?
This is as bad as I've ever seen
That's
it.
terrible.
Polk made that comment next to this encampment near 60th and Vermont. He says this is part of the problem. Today, this encampment filled half of this alley, just days after it was completely cleared out by the city.
That was Monday. Good. Oh, man. That's immaculate.
And now you see it today, Friday.
That's sad.
Look at it. I just look at it and say it's disgusting.
After the numbers.
What's disgusting is allowing somebody who is one of your citizens in your city to live on the streets like that and not know there's a better option for them. And the scariest thing about this is that there are places for every single person on the street to go and live. But the outreach doesn't happen because the homeless industrial complex doesn't want it to happen. They don't want people removed from the streets because then their reason for existing has been accomplished and they can go away and they can go find new jobs, which they don't want to do.
So get this NGO LA Can has actually filed multiple lawsuits. So they've done this multiple times, that it's blocked the clearing of encampments. They say these sweeps are somehow a criminalization of homeless, so you cannot touch the homeless population on Skid Row. It violates their rights, and Mayor Karen Bass sides with them.
That's crazy.
This NGO has, of course, gotten our tax money, so naturally they would not want the money to stop flowing to them and all the other NGOs making a fortune off of Skid Row.
Yeah, that is wild. And look, it says right here on the screen that this organization was founded in 1999. They're a certified nonprofit, all right. That's why they're so profitable. That's how this whole thing works. And the ridiculous thing about this is that if you or I had a friend or a relative who we knew was living on the streets, whether it's in the New York City subway, whether it's out on Skid Row, we would be down there pleading with that person. We would be staging an intervention, and we would not allow them to say no to the help that we know that they need. We would not allow them to stop us from bringing them inside and getting them cleaned up and getting them a hot meal and getting them into a better situation. They don't know that the stability is out there for them, or they've got some reason, which is not a correct reason for why they prefer to live on the streets. But while the mayor is out there saying that all of this is Trump's fault, as you're about to see, Trump's actually the reason the Problems in Los Angeles haven't gotten worse. Look at this.
Near this library,
It's ridiculous. You can see it right across the street. It's out of control. Our money's going somewhere, but not, unfortunately, not to these people to help them.
but today in the Park, one woman says she thinks the number of homeless in the park is decreasing, especially after the recent federal operations.
Now it's a little bit more better because it's more clean, less people.
Wow. So there are people who say that because the federal government came in and arrested criminals and got criminals off the streets and deported people that were here illegally, things are better. The mayor is out there blaming Trump for sending the federal government in to do things that improve the area. If anything, this problem would be worse if there had been no action on behalf of the federal government. And then who would these people blame for their problems? They would find somebody, probably the millionaires, tax them a little bit more. Probably the business owners, let's fine them. It's their fault there's encampments out in front of their stores anyways.
You took a lot of credit for that and for your Inside Safe program. Now we see the numbers going up, and it seems like you're deflecting to it's because we're not getting funding and so on. Do you bear any responsibility for what's happened?
Absolutely. I've never shied away from responsibility. But let me just tell you something. For the last 3 years, when there has been a reduction in people on the street, that was historic. That had not happened in our city before. I will absolutely accept responsibility, but I do have to put it.
Definitely having a wonderful Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Here to educate these liberals out there and Democrats. They need to wake up before these Democrat socialists take over America, and it'd be a big regret. Yep, having fun.
Within the context of greater factors that contributed to increasing numbers of people on our streets.
Like what?
Mayor Bass declared a state of emergency on her first day in office after campaigning to end homelessness.
Okay, so she's been mayor for quite some time. She campaigned on ending homelessness, declared a state of emergency, and she's willing to take responsibility for all the good news about her state of emergency and her campaign. But when there's bad news, it's someone else's fault. And what is the bad news? The bad news is the Trump administration said, look, if you want money to provide services for the homeless, you have to tell us where it's going and what it's being spent on. And the homeless service administrators here were unable to do that. Their funding mechanism for all of this that doles out America's money is a black hole of resources that never amount to anything. And that's why the money was taken away. So it's not like the Trump administration took away the money that was going to the homeless. No money has been going to the homeless. Nothing has been done to help these people. The bare minimum is getting done. The bare minimum is still getting done. Nothing has changed, but she'll take all the credit when her book cookers are able to come up with numbers that make her look great. And if they're not able to come up with numbers that make her look great, no matter how many times they try, well, let's just blame that on somebody else. What a scam. But as you're about to see, there are real people being affected by this. And this is a crisis. It is a state of emergency. It's just too bad the wrong people are in charge of it. Look at this.
The overall increase may look small on paper, but the view from the sidewalk is much harder to shrug off, especially here on Skid Row, where it always looks like nothing is being done.
Why does it look like
this annual count found more than 45,000 people experiencing homelessness in the city of Los Angeles, which is up 3.4% from last year. Countywide, the number rose 1.2% to about 73,000 unhoused. But the most alarming number may be the one showing who is still outside. Unsheltered homelessness in the city, meaning people sleeping outdoors or in vehicles, jumped 7.9%. That means more than 2,100 additional people were counted living outside, and it ends 2 straight years as you.
Wow, that's insane. So the mayor who's in charge of all this, she wants the credit for when there was a decline, but then she wants someone else to take the blame for any sort of an increase. Well, it's up to her to come up with the numbers. And the amazing thing is that since these are the numbers from the government and this was the best they can do, you know the problem is bad. When the best they can do is cook the books in a way that still expose them. But now the question is, why is this happening? Why do they want to put their own problems on the president? What's the point of that? And how is this supposedly going to help these people during a major election year. Check this out.
Speaking of the midterms, we know the tradition. The party that has the White House typically has an uphill battle for the midterms. And when you look at the top issue among voters right now, it seems to be the cost of living. So what steps have been taken by the White House to really address that? Because that's going to be important as we head towards November.
Yeah. Well, the president and the White House, we fully recognize that. And I would remind your viewers and the American people of who caused the affordability crisis in this country. It was Joe Biden and it was the Democrats in this city when they were in power. And President Trump took immediate action on day one to fix that with his overall economic formula of tax cuts, deregulation, and energy dominance.
That's huge. That is your cost of living right there. But the communists, they see this 46% number and they say to themselves, you know what? We got a winning issue. If we can become the party of affordability, we can get voters to care about us and give us a chance, and we can tell them that, hey, the reason you have unaffordability is because capitalism has failed. Let's try something else. It's a very simple argument, even though it's completely wrong, but that's the argument they're making, and that's why you need somebody like Karen Bass to blame the president. You need every single socialist kingpin out there running a city that is falling off a cliff to blame the president and put this on the people who they say are causing the affordability crisis, but that's not what's happening at all. Look at the price of oil. It's all over the place. 85-ish a barrel now, but look at this. Over the last 5 years, oh, what happened here? Oh, it was higher back here in 2022. Oh, look at that. Oh, this must have been Trump's fault. Nope, wasn't Trump's fault. Went down. And after he got in, it went way down. Yes, there's a conflict now, so it's up. But that's going to be temporary. And the idea that you're going to have sanctuary cities and a wide open border and everybody's going to have an affordable life while all of the money that these places have gets distributed to a very large and ever-growing number of people who need economic help, there is no way to tax enough millionaires and billionaires to feed the entire world, which is the goal of these communists. Their only answer is to take more money from people and to make people's lives even less affordable. That's why it's less affordable in Los Angeles than it is in Florida, even though they both have relatively similar weather. Why don't we have year-round encampments in a place like Florida? Well, because things are done differently here, obviously. Watch this.
The cost of living. So
the past year and children who are signing up today, like my daughter,
about healthcare costs,
healthcare benefits, people, the patients,
as opposed to Democrats have a favorable opinion of socialism over capitalism by a large majority, as opposed to Republicans who have by about 50 points more favorable view of capitalism over socialism.
That's what their base wants.
What do you make of those numbers? And what would your message be maybe to independent voters who are looking at these two parties as we head towards the midterms? You have one party, the Republican Party, obviously capitalists, free market people who want you to be able to keep more of your own money.
Look, if you're out there and you're an independent voter and you're sitting on the other side of your television or your phone and you're watching stuff like this and you're saying, gee, I'm an open-minded independent and I'm going to seriously consider whether I should vote for capitalism or communism, I'm not really sure which one I should vote for. The fact that you're even allowed to have those thoughts is proof that you should be voting for capitalism, because under the alternative, you're not allowed to debate whether or not it works. You're not allowed to criticize it. You're allowed to vote it in, but you're not going to be allowed to vote it out. You're going to be stuck with it. But the ridiculous thing is that not only will communism never work in principle, even if it is carried out with all the best intents to redistribute all of the money and have there be zero fraud, you're still going to run out of other people's money. And the people right now that want to run a system like this, they're running the homeless industrial complex in California. They can't tell you where any of the money goes. They say that funding cuts have put people on the streets. Those people weren't getting any of the money anyways. What do you mean the funding cuts put people on the streets? No, they didn't. Those people weren't getting any help. So the money that's getting redistributed over there, it's getting stolen before it even makes it to anybody, which is why the communism over there is imploding faster than anyone can imagine. What do you think about that? I'll see you in the next video. New York's mayor
mayor thinks looters are going to steal his free groceries. Look at this.
That deal basically, and is there going to be a limit on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that essential basket?
So our RFP makes very clear that this is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling. I'm going to pass it over to our EDC head, J-Pack, to add some additional details.
Oh, why doesn't he want to answer? That's weird.
Yes, if you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing.
A library card.
And also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers.
How are you going to do that?
So we are mindful of that, and so we're going to make sure that we have all the things in place to ensure that that does not happen.
Oh, so they're going to have something in place to make sure that only New Yorkers are shopping there. Might be a library card, but don't worry, folks. It won't be ID because in New York, we don't require that to do anything. Watch this.
We're talking about a city-run grocery store, one in each borough, which, by the way, you do not need an ID to shop at. What you've just heard in the news of today.
Oh, thank
God. We're talking about actually addressing the question of skyrocketing grocery prices.
But how are you going to do that?
In the last, 6 or 7 years alone, an increase in grocery prices of around 30%. And we are going to be delivering a city-run grocery store, one in each borough, 5 in total, that will have the staples of a shopping experience, an essential basket of goods that are discounted by 30%. 30%
off
retail prices.
How are you going to stop people from shopping there?
Will be able to feel in their pocket. They'll be able to save hundreds of dollars on an annual basis, knowing that the city is looking to actually deliver for them on something that is a non-negotiable in their life.
But you're delivering it for everyone because everyone's going to be able to shop there. Now, at first, it sounded like there was going to be an ID card. And right away, the regime went into overdrive, making sure that nobody thought you would need ID to get the 30% off from the Mom Donnie Marts, which means there's no plan in place to stop somebody from driving in from New Jersey or Connecticut or wherever and loading up a truck and taking off to their own store where they resell all that same stuff. And then there's all the people in New York that sell things on the side of the road. Where are they going to get those products? Are they going to be getting them cheaper than a distributor would sell them to them? This is why these free stores don't make any sense. There's zero cost to operate the store. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay utilities. They can buy whatever they want and sell it for whatever they want. And now they're going to sell it to everybody. There's no way this is going to work. Watch this.
Donnie's city-owned grocery stores, because you're not going to have an ID. You don't even have to prove that you live in New York, even though it's New York taxpayer-funded grocery stores.
It's a handout to everyone.
We're going to have a bunch of freeloaders that want to come to New York now.
They're going to request
Just for
ID.
all the free. What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. Communism for everyone.
Rushing to the grocery store. This is what the mayor had to say about this.
This is so wild.
How are you going to keep people from taking advantage of that, that deal, basically?
They did not have an answer. He stepped away from the mic, notice that, and had this woman come up and proclaim that there was going to be a library card, and the backlash was massive. They are making it up as they go along, folks. What they're going to do in New York is they're going to steal from those who are productive and live here, and they're going to give that out to the entire world. Remember, this is a sanctuary city, and the resources of New York are open to the entire world. All you got to do is get here. Doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what state you live in. We're going to tax the productive and give it to everyone. This place is going to implode so quickly, your head is going to spin. Watch this.
This is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling.
We are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing, and also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers.
Look at their faces. They didn't have any problem with her saying there was going to be some sort of check or balance to make sure only people from New York came here. Look, they're all in agreement. They're all hanging out. And then they said, gee, wait a minute. We're a no ID state. We don't need ID to do anything here. Better not have it to come to the grocery store.
A library card-esque card. There's so afraid of saying an
I know.
ID.
They don't want to say
even though that's what they're saying, that you're going to have an ID, but they're not going to check where the person is from. They're not going to check what their income is. And so this is going to be the fastest lesson in economics, in math, in basic reality that has ever hit. Mamdani is going to understand economics at the end of this.
No, he's not.
When every bodega owner in the neighborhood who he's trying to undercut by selling stuff 30% below market value.
Oh, yeah. Every small business in town, those are going to be done, because you know what? You can't compete with 30% off. And these stores, they're going to be required to have more than just bananas and oranges in them. There's going to be a core basket of goods that get the heavy discount. But these stores are going to have other things in them. And look at this. They will be open to everyone. There will be no system to verify identity, residency, or income, and no one will be asked to show ID to shop City Hall. Confirmed. You're going to be paying for the entire world to rob you if you live in New York, and the mayor is totally okay with it. And you know what? Once this whole thing doesn't work out, he's going to say, well, we just need more money. We tried to help all these people, and it didn't work. And that's because all the rich people left, or they didn't pay enough, or you didn't pay your fair share. We need more taxes.
By selling stuff 30% below market value, goes to the store, buys everything, and then sells it for cheaper. I'm sure that's going to be illegal too. So they're going to have to jail people who go and take stuff out of the store for 30% cheaper and sell.
They're not going to jail anybody.
And then they're going to run out of product. And so then they're going to, within the first week, they're going to have to ration all of their grocery stores. So we're going to get to the end stages of the Soviet Union in the first week.
And here's how that's going to happen. They're not going to jail people for coming to these places and looting them and clearing them out. In fact, they're going to spin that and they're going to say, wow, we ran out of everything. It looks like the Soviet Union in here. And that's because this place really needs help. We need more free grocery stores. We need even more money because stuff is flying off the shelves and flying out the door and ended up on the sidewalk. Oh, yeah, we're helping so many people. We need even more money to do even more. But think of how many people we could help if instead of 5 grocery stores, we had 50 or 500. And look at where that's going to lead.
They're going to put bodegas out of business. Out of business. And when they do, you'll have no choice but to go to the government grocery store, which will have shortages. And when you do, you will need to get your ID in order to buy your groceries and your food.
Yes, they're going to do something.
It's all going in the same direction. Always is. These people are evil. We're looking to make sure we target New Yorkers, whether it be a sort of library card-esque thing. We also manage who's buying, and then it is focused on everyday New Yorker.
Now, the interesting thing about that is the people telling us that this is going to be a store for New Yorkers will tell you that someone who came into the country illegally yesterday and is in New York today, living in a luxury hotel shelter today, is also a New Yorker. So their definition of a New Yorker includes everybody by default. That's why they're not going to check and see who's a New Yorker and who isn't, because everybody who finds themselves here is invariably a New Yorker, according to these people. That's the plan. It's a plan that makes no sense, but it does make sense when you realize collapse is the real plan.
According to the proposal, the government grocery store operators will create free access cards that will help ensure that New Yorkers are not abusing the program.
Oh, how are they going to do that?
Shoppers without a card would not be prohibited from entering the store, but they would not be able to make any purchases without the ID.
That's weird.
But they say the operator will create a voluntary free-to-access membership card program to monitor sales activity and implement the discount program and any associated demand management measures. The savings card shall not be required for physical access to NYC grocery sites and shall be made easily available to any individual requesting one. Operators will work with NYC EDC to develop appropriate protocols for the collection, storage, and use of personal data shared by membership and card program participants.
Yeah, that's going to leak.
Conservative pundits began pointing out the irony of Mamdani's grocery store.
So what is going to happen here? It sounds like they're going to have some sort of loyalty program. They're not going to stop anyone from coming into the store, but they may stop people from getting the 30% off discount if they don't have the loyalty card, which is supposed to be easy to access and available to everybody because everybody's a New Yorker. Got it. What could go wrong?
For ideas, Democrats have forcefully argued against passing legislation that would require ID to vote. Democrats have argued voter identification would suppress the votes of many women whose names changed after marriage. It's all a lie. But I don't really care, to be honest, about this argument like, haha, they want an ID to vote, but not to buy groceries. Hypocrites. They don't care. They know they're hypocrites. They know they're lying.
Right, and they're lying about this being something that is sustainable. None of this is sustainable. These stores are going to get looted out of oblivion by people taking advantage of them. Everybody that wants to sell vegetables on the sidewalk is going to start doing it. They're going to be doing it 30% off. These stores are going to empty out, and then the city's going to come along and say they need more of them. And this socialist train that is just headed in the wrong direction, full steam, full speed ahead, it's running out of money so fast, the mayor is actually running out of places to find it. Check this out.
Hello, this is Victor Davis Hansen for the Daily Signal. Zoran Mondani, the mayor of New York, has just stirred up a lot of controversy. He said that he wanted to go after property owners who had homes worth more than $5 million, and they were likely to be second homes. In other words, they had a primary residence elsewhere, either in the state of New York or outside the state of, or in a foreign country. And he wanted to tax them with a new surcharge in addition to property tax. But then when the letters went out, they didn't just go to the upper middle class or the wealthy who owned $5 million properties. Mondani went back on his word and sent almost 950,000 letters out to property owners who on the register had a home worth more than $1 million.
Now, $1 million, is that a lot of money? If you have a home that's worth that, yeah, it is. But it's not like having $1 million home 30 years ago. In fact, many people who are working class, middle class New Yorkers may have a home valued in that range, and they're the ones getting these letters. And check this out and tell me if you think any of these people are out on luxury vacations, jetting around the world on private jets. Look at this.
Yeah, Christine, it's damage control for the administration. 17,000 homeowners received letters saying they may be subject to the tax, and now they have until September 18th to contest it. But many are upset now. They have to prove essentially where they live.
So we're here to stand united, and the people of Staten Island, the people who love this country, for all of you who've earned your home, to say enough is enough.
Staten Island Borough President Vito Facella tonight at a rally blasting the pied-à-terre tax rollout by the Mamdani administration that's created confusion and anxiety among some homeowners.
I'm getting calls from clients that looked at the roll and they didn't think their market value was, qualified them for the tax.
But Mamdani and the city sure did. That's why they sent out these letters. They sent letters to everybody that might have even been close to hitting a threshold where they could tax them. And now, to not have to pay his taxes, you have to defend yourself. You have to go to the DMV, essentially, and deal with the DMV Postal Service mentality, which is how this city government operates, and prove that you're immune from the mayor's new taxes and that you're paying your fair share. And look who they're coming after.
An 81-year-old woman on the Upper East Side tells CBS News New York she's lived full-time in her townhouse for 3 decades and has no other residence, yet she received a letter from the city warning she has until August 21st to prove she's exempt from the new pied-à-terre tax, or she'll owe $56,000.
They're coming after senior citizens for almost $60,000 when they live in their primary residence, which has appreciated over the last 3 decades and now puts them on this hit list, which is what many people are saying this list is, because they didn't just send out 17,000 letters
saying they would have to pay the new tax. It's aimed at the wealthy who have second homes valued at $5 million or more, or apartments valued at $1 million or more.
I understand the concerns New Yorkers have, especially when it comes to a new tax.
Today, Mamdani said he's hired 24 additional people to deal with complaints, and he's extended the deadline for people to seek an exemption.
Adding to the confusion is a list of hundreds of thousands of properties, most owned by New Yorkers who live here, published online as the new tax program was rolled out.
Why would you do that? Why would you publish a list of people who you claim aren't paying their fair share or might not be, who they are and where they live in your city? Like, That is just ridiculous. You don't do something like that if you care about the well-being of those people. You're basically marking them. And you got these mobs running all over the streets in New York, the same mobs that are in favor of the free grocery stores and now know where you live, and there weren't enough groceries today, but you live over there? Huh? Yeah, gee, I wonder what that's going to lead to.
He's had all of these lavish welfare ideas that are not fundable because he's driving out the upper middle
he's
class and the wealthy, and they're leaving in droves.
He's
Some estimates maybe $11 billion already in real value.
It's crazy.
Revenue. So he needs money.
Yep.
And more importantly, by sending this surtax out, in addition to property taxes, if you have a property that's worth $1 million or $2 million, and you're paying $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000 in property taxes, and this surtax comes in 10, 20, 30, a lot of people are saying, you know, I'm not getting that much rent if it is a second home. If it's their primary home, they're saying, I already pay this huge property and I have maintenance costs. If you're renting, you have rental costs. You're subject to oversight. There's rental subsidies for your renter. There's rent control. And so what he's trying to do is force people to sell.
And what we heard earlier when Mamdani went out there and he said he's going to fine landlords, he said he was going to take away their buildings if they couldn't pay the fines. And he said he was going to increase the amount of fines and make sure that there were more fines. And the reason they want these people to sell isn't because they're not paying their fair share and they're jetting around on these luxury vacations. No, it's because if you own your own home in New York and you don't need the help of the government for anything, you are on this side of the fence and the communists are over here. Right? So you're opposed to the communists, even if you're a Mamdani voter, because you heard he was going to help the little guy and you believed him and you believed that he was going to do it with socialism. You've got people in New York who are waking up, realizing that they are ideological enemies of the mayor, even though they voted for him. This is crazy.
Either sell their second home or he considers them affluent enough that they had their turn and it's time to sell because they will not be able to afford, especially retired people. A surcharge property tax on top of a property
like that 81-year-old woman
on top of insurance. And if you have a lot of sales, the house price drops. If the house price drops, Mamdani can come in and either buy them for the city or subsidize the quote oppressed poor who buy it. It's a huge redistribution plan.
What a great way to lower housing prices. Mamdani's going to come in after he destroys the housing market in New York and nobody wants to live here because crime is through the roof and everyone's getting punished for owning anything. He's going to say, yeah, before I came in, prices were here and I got them down to here. I did a good job. I destroyed the market. And now it only costs this much to live here. You know, there's parts of America where you could buy a home for $1. In Detroit, Michigan, you could buy homes that nobody wants. Yeah, let's get the price down there. Then we'll really have affordability, won't we? What a thriving place we'll be looking at. Oh, man. Everything about this is a nightmare, but it's all going to be spun as if it's been the greatest thing since sliced bread. When the sliced bread has been removed from the free grocery store by the people selling it on the sidewalks out in front of the free grocery store, that costs the city nothing to operate, the excuse is going to be, well, it's so popular. There's so many people that need help. We didn't realize the crisis was this bad. We need 50, 500 free grocery stores. And then when they destroy the property values and everything costs nothing because it's all being given away, thrown away, abandoned, they're going to say, yeah, I fixed the housing market. What do you think about that? I'll see you in the next video.
Booker T. Washington warned us about all these jigaboo, the Jasmine Crockett's and the D.L. Hugleys and the Maxine Waters and the Cory Booker and the Hakeem Jeffries. People like this do nothing but stir up problems and drama and trouble and capitalize off of it. Booker T. Washington said, and I quote, "There's another class of colored people who makes a business of keeping the trouble, okay, the wrong and the hardship of the Negro race before the public, having learned that they are able to make a living out of their their trouble, go figure, right? They have grown into the subtle habit of advertising their wrong, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. They want to go around and talk as if they are leaders, as if they are the spokesperson and shit. D.L. Hughley makes me sick. He is attacking Officer Tatum right now. And what he said was probably one of the most disturbing, disgusting, toxic behavior I've ever seen from a black man. Mind you, a 61-year-old freaking black man. He decides to post Officer Tatum's wife photo, basically making fun of him because he's married to a white woman. You have got to be shitting me, man. Who are you fooling? You work for the white. You know, I can't stand people like this. I can't stand brothers like this. Like, they would try to call you out for associating yourself with white people, but they associate themselves with white people. Look at Don Lemon. Don Lemon has been going around for years talking about, oh, black people are white men are the devil. And he's getting pumped out every night in his badonkadonk, right? Every night by a white man. D.L., you should be ashamed of yourself. Settle out, you hypocrite. You talking about a man who's not even 45 years old that has built a career, okay? Mind you, he used to be a police officer who put his life on the line every fucking day. And what did you do besides go out there and tell jokes that, mind you, nobody really thought was funny? Stop it. You know what I'm talking about. When the last time you heard somebody come home from the Kings of Comedy from back in the day and say, oh, that D.L. Hughley is funny than a motherfucker. For you to sit there and try to attack this man's family and who he chooses to love, especially knowing that, quite frank, everybody is diverse. Everybody got a little something in them. I'm gonna start calling you boy. You, Toby. That's what I'm gonna start calling. I'm gonna call you Toby. His new nickname is Toby. Yeah, Toby. Get on stage and tell us a joke, Toby. Nobody's gonna laugh. You know what? Get on your morning show, boy. Get on your morning show, boy, Toby. And gossip a little bit, Toby. That's what you like to do, Toby. Yeah, Toby.
Shout out to this brother, yo. Hey, appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. What's going on? Hope all is well on this fine Monday. And I'm glad that people are waking up. I'm glad that people are calling out the sellout. I'm glad that people are actually calling out those that have caped for the Democrat Party for years. They've been the one to hold people down and keep them on that Democratic plantation. D.L. Hughley, how dare you? But we don't have to come to Tatum's defense. Tatum handled his own business. He handled his own business, man. So shout out to him. Y'all make sure y'all keep that brother lifted up in prayer, man, because, you know, he's under attack. You know it. I know it. We all know it. So y'all make sure y'all keep that brother lifted up in prayer. We got some more to get into. Hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's go.
People don't want to hear the truth. The truth is bitter, but we have to swallow it. The Democratic Party, I voted for over 20 years of my life. I voted for Barack Obama when he said he was going to bring hope and change. And yes, we can. And no, we didn't. The jobs didn't come. The better schools didn't come. The investment in our communities did not come. National security, our borders are open. We're not safe. We're not safe. And we've got to stop thinking as black and white and purple and Arab. We've got to start thinking as Americans. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. We're Americans. America first.
You have to remember, Donald Trump is the head of Trump Organization. And when you look into that organization, it is filled with blacks, whites, Hispanic, Arabs, Asians. It's different religion, different creeds.
Shout out to the sister, man. Shout out to her, man, because I've been talking about it on this channel for a long time, man. It's not about black or white or how much or how little melanin you have. You know, it's really about the direction that you want this country to go in. Democrats want us divided amongst ourselves while they destroy our country from the inside out. It's about Americans. Simple as that. You know, and when you start talking about highly melanated Americans, you say you've been here for 400 years. Your people been here for 400 years. At what point do you become just an American? At what point? When you can trace your people back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations, you're just an American. There's nowhere else to go. So we got to do everything that we can to make sure that we make this place the best place that it can possibly be. Simple as that, man.
I'm seeing a lot of people say, vote Democrat, vote Democrat. Listen, I don't rep any party at all. I really don't.
But I'm so tired of seeing black people vote Democrat. What has the Democratic Party done for you? Is your mama still in the same neighborhood you grew up in? Has she got any money or any magical funds in her account? Are you still at the same corner store? Are your people still on EBT cards? Are you still having the minimum wage of $7? Are you still doing that? What did Bill Clinton give you? He gave you the 3-strike rule. So many black men were incarcerated from the 3-strike rule. What did he give you? What did Obama give you? He gave you gay marriage. What did Sleepy Joe give you? Sleepy Joe gave you what? Sleepy Joe. But if you rewind back to the...
Give you open borders. Open borders and billions of dollars spent on illegal immigrants.
The 90s, he was a part of the 3-strike rule that incarcerated so many black men.
He was the actual champion. He's the one that actually brought the bill to the floor.
It affects the families to this day. What did the Democrats give you? Put it in the comments. What did they give you? What did they give you? They gave you nothing. Like I said again, Republicans ain't shit either. But the black people, the way y'all ride for the Democrats is diabolical. Get out of here.
Look at that. For him to say that Republicans ain't ish, we can say this. There are some rhinos out there. And there are some people, in the Republican Party that aren't necessarily doing their job. But when we look at what's happening right now, and we look at what has transpired over the better part of about 10 or 15 years, look at the policies of the Democrat parties. The policies of the Democrat parties have been a net negative for the United States of America, for Americans in general. You look at the policies that Republicans are pushing. If they can get them passed, they would be positives. You look at what happened, with the truckers. President Trump said, hey, man, we're getting these daggone illegal immigrants out. We're hiring more American citizens in the trucking industry. That's going to open up small business opportunities for a plethora of people. But folks got to get off this mindset that a party is supposed to do something for you, especially when you don't vote for them, you don't invest in candidates, you don't invest in campaigns, you're not willing to put any work in, but you want something. I'm tired of people asking and wanting something for nothing. And you ain't invested in one campaign, either, with your finances, resources, or your time. Now, the parties and the candidates, they work for us. People forget that. A lot of folks think it's the other way around. We work for them. No, they work for us. But it's your job to hold them accountable. Simple as that. I'm definitely not saying vote blue no matter who, but I'm also not saying just vote red either. I'm saying take the time, do your due diligence, support the candidate that you think makes sense for the direction of the nation, the county, the city, wherever it is that you live. And then I'm saying put your money where your mouth is. If you want to have a conversation, with your representatives, your senators, so forth and so on, and that you plan to support, you can invest, you can call, and you can hold said individual accountable. It's very hard to hold someone accountable when you hadn't actually done anything. It's also very hard to hold people accountable when you just vote blue no matter who, and you don't even know why you supported the candidate that you supported. Very, very difficult to do so. I can appreciate the due sentiment, but we got to become a lot more politically astute. Quit at thinking that people are going to do something out of the kindness of their heart. That's not how this works. This political game, man, it is a quid pro quo game. You do something for me, I do something for you. You can't want people to do something for you when you've chose not to support them. It doesn't make sense, man. You got a lot of immature children out there, although they're adults and they have the ability to vote, but they're children. They have an immature mindset when it comes to how this thing works.
My eyes watered up watching this video of Black America before welfare, before gang culture. This was the Black community in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s.
Now I'm looking at these clips and they want to tell us that bonnets and do-rags is Black culture. Are we being serious?
We prospered and thrived even in the middle of segregation. We built multiple successful Black communities and economies all around America, known as Black Wall Streets. In these communities, Black people owned the land. We owned every house and every business on the land. We owned the bus lines. We owned the movie theaters. We owned the grocery store. We owned the libraries. We owned the schools. We owned the law offices. We owned the dental offices. We were the doctors. Under the philosophy of Black leaders like Booker T. Washington, we focused on self-reliance, on what we could do for ourselves, building up our own communities, putting in the work, not waiting for what the government can do for us, not waiting for a handout. We did for ourselves and we thrived. We proved that with nothing we can build the American dream if only we had freedom. We have so much more today, but yet we're doing worse. Why is that? It goes back to Black Americans realigning themselves from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. This was our biggest political mistake. And ever since 1964, when we followed Martin Luther King into the Democratic Party under Lyndon B. Johnson, the Black communities have been on a rapid decline. We have not gotten any better. We have only gotten worse. That's because that was by design, to keep us broken, to keep us dysfunctional, to keep us poverty-stricken for generations so that we would remain dependent on the Democratic Party and loyal to them, guaranteeing our votes for generations. I speak about this in so much more detail and many other things in my best-selling book, How the Democrats Won the Blacks, From Physical to Mental Slavery. This book gives the true origins of both political parties and reveals the real events that took place that caused Black Americans to realign from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, all backed up by historical documentation and government reports. If you want the true history you were not taught in school, my book is available now for order. You can find the link in my bio or just comment the word book and I'll send the link right to your DM.
Shout out to the brother Robin Robinson, man. We're going to have to get a hold of him and see if we can get him on the shows, man, so we can discuss this book. I got to get a copy of the book. I'm going to buy it. I don't want him to send it to me, but this brother's absolutely right, man. He's absolutely right. And those are the things that those of us on this side of things, it's like, yo, no one is stopping you from doing anything. But the Democrats, their goal is to give you just enough to survive, never enough to thrive. And that's what they're doing with the illegal immigrants. They're giving them just enough to survive, never enough to thrive. And in some cases, they are giving them enough to thrive. And with hopes that you are beholden to the Democrat Party because they give you those trinkets. They're the party that's willing to give you a little something, but keep you broke, busted, and disgusted in the process. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description.
Kathy Hochul should be careful the friends that she keeps, because Kathy Hochul is now looking like she's vulnerable and there's going to be a historic move away from a Democrat governor in the state of New York. Like, this hasn't happened in decades. But there's a brand new poll out suggesting that Kathy may be going bye-bye. Here we go. New York on the verge of having its first Republican governor in 20 years as new poll shows GOP officials snapping at Democrat Kathy Hochul's tail. So there's a Republican, amazing, there's a Republican running, in New York that may actually take her seat. Mr. Blakeman, you see, because Mr. Blakeman has a little bit more appeal. You know, that's not saying a lot because it is Kathy Hochul. She's not exactly the most appealing of all appealing candidates. She, you know, in some ways kind of is making a run for Hillary's lane, if you ask me. Just saying. And yet you've got, Red Oak Strategic. It's actually, in fairness, it's a pro-Blakeman super PAC. But they came out with this brand new poll. And what they're showing is that 38% of those people questioned actually view her favorably compared with 58% unfavorably. That is a really big number. Okay, really, really big number. Again, I think this has a little bit something to do with her association with Mr. Mamdani, Comrade Mamdani, who's now come out with a hit list as of yesterday. A hit list on 30,000 New Yorkers he's publishing. Anybody he thinks has a valuation of $1 million, which by the way is a lot of people in New York because real estate is so freaking expensive there and it's not about to get cheaper anytime soon given his policies. Anyway, maybe people will just sell. It'll be a fire sale. Maybe it could come down. Maybe that's his goal. He'll just drive everyone out of the entire city and then nobody wants to be there, and so that's how you get prices down. Listen, it's a big deal what he did. It's kind of seen as this hit list. People are worried about violence as a result of it with the Antifa crowd. Kathy Hochul is closely aligned with Mamdani, and I think it's going to cost her the election. I really do. Kathy Hochul out in New York, 58% viewing her unfavorably, 38% view her favorably. Those are really bad numbers. Only 33% say she deserves a second term. Whoa. Okay, Kathy. And then this gets even worse for her. Take a look, guys, here. This is, you can see Blakeman on one side, Kathy Hochul on the other. Independents are key, right? In any election, independents are always really and truly key. Why are they so key? Because, you have one side and the other, and it's almost like anticipated where they're going to come out. So oftentimes, most times, elections are actually decided by those in the middle. That's why everybody says, you can Try and put a little cheese in the middle for the mice that can run to the middle, as opposed to having all the cheese over here on the left and all the cheese over there on the right. You want to appeal to that middle lane because that's the person. That's what Donald Trump, by the way, did very successfully. I know a lot of people don't want to admit this. They don't really understand this, but you had a lot of crossover appeal, both with independents and also members of the left who said, okay, enough is enough is enough. And you're seeing it again in New York with unions saying, we don't want any part of this, Ma'am Dami. We're going to see that in New York State with more unions saying, we don't want any part of Kathy Hochul. You've had just too much violence. You've had too much in the way of taxation. You've had too much communism talk, okay? Like, that does not play in Peoria. We've talked about it before. And so consequently, Kathy is finding herself, I think, up a creek without a paddle. I think actually you could have a Republican win for the first time in decades. It's a really, really big deal. Again, Daily Mail pointing this out first. Credit to them, saying it's the first time in 20 years. First time in 20 years you could see a Republican coming in as governor of New York. This is a groundswell, okay? What did I tell you yesterday? I told you that this Ma'am Dami hit list, if you would, may have just changed the entire scope of the Democrat Party for years to come. You couple that together with the Democrats' love of Anthony Fauci, which was on display, of course, today. In fact, Maggie Hassan felt so bad. This is the senator from my home state of New Hampshire. Felt so bad that he had to be there. So bad. I mean, they have just buried themselves alongside Fauci. And so this kind of attempt to cling to anything that is, quote unquote, establishment, and by the way, wrong establishment and wrong establishment ideas, frankly, lies, right? I mean, he was lying to us. I mean, I've played you the sound a zillion times. Remember when he sat there with John LaPook on 60 Minutes on CBS News? And John LaPook, who's a doctor himself, I actually used to work with him at CBS years and years ago. He's like, well, wait a second. Do you really need a mask? And Fauci's like, nah, you don't need a mask. You don't really need a mask. And then it turned out that he came out, all in favor of masks. He was like Mr. Mask, It would have been like the Jim Carrey movie, The Mask. He could have titled it himself. He could have done a whole thing. He was lying the first time around. And then I think kind of lying the second time around, too, with he wanted you to wear 3 masks. They never met a mask that they didn't like. They wanted you masked up for everything. I'll tell you, this testimony was pretty compelling on behalf of some of the senators that came out there saying what they did. We didn't learn anything from Fauci because he's like, I'm taking the fifth, I'm taking the fifth, I'm taking the fifth. Well, you keep aligning yourself with the guy who's taking the fifth, and you're going to find yourself out of office. So, Kathy, guess what? None of this is a surprise. You are exactly where we would think you would be. I mean, this is normalcy, right? This is normalcy. Because when Kathy Hochul is around there, pretending like she knows how to shovel snow alongside Ma'am Dami, it's not a good thing. When she's out there on the side of illegals as opposed to the side of everyday Americans that are really fighting for their own opportunities, this stuff catches up to you. It really does. I mean, here's a great example of her recently, actually. Kathy Hochul back, earlier in the year, saying she was so shaken on the ice front, right, to see all of these illegals being deported. She just couldn't believe that this was really happening. And it's like, what world are you living in? I mean, you do live in New York. You ought to be a little bit more informed and understand the crime rate. She can't tell you the names of the people that have been killed, but she can tell you all of the illegals that are being deported. Here she is.
Sometimes when you read the news, you just can't believe what you're reading. And I can't tell you how shaken I was to see the article about the increased number of children in this country being snatched from laundromats, or whether helping their parents on the streets or going to school. You look at these images of these little kids, little 5-year-olds, little 7-year-olds. I gotta ask, what parent in America is okay with that? Picture your own child, your own little one, staring at the side of a vehicle, motionless, with a little Spider-Man backpack. These kids didn't do anything wrong. We don't want open borders. We need to enforce our laws. But can we show some humanity and some decency when it comes to little kids? We had a 3rd grader snatched out of her bed here in New York months ago. Finally got her back. I just want to say this. If this was your child being sent to a detention center with barbed wire and lacking good food and medical treatment, what would you have to say? I think it's time for parents to stand together and say, this is not a country we want our kids to grow up in either.
Okay, so this was her MO, right? I mean, this is her MO. She's going to be anything but Trump. She's not caring or thinking about the people that have, I don't even want to like describe it because it actually gives me chills. I mean, you think about the person set on fire, right? I mean, this is awful stuff. Awful, awful, awful stuff. And there's no sort of sympathy for any of that. I would say as far as the kids are concerned, what kind of country are we that's incentivizing these people down in Mexico to send their kids up here with the coyotes? I mean, there's something in economics called the law of unintended consequences. And boy, oh boy, did you see that one on full display, courtesy of Joe Biden and company. So listen, Kathy's getting exactly what she deserves. It looks like she's going to be out in New York, and that's going to be fine by me. And I would just say, hey, Kathy, maybe you should be a little bit more careful about the company you keep. Right? The company you keep, because when you've got best friends, besties, like Comrade Mamdani, who wants to go out and create an enemies list, right, with his 30,000 New Yorkers that he thinks should be paying more money. I mean, what is that? By the way, you know what I see that as? I'm going to go there, okay? I see it as a form of anti-Semitism, because if he's looking at who has the valuation that's like $1 million and up, I would suspect a lot of names on that list may sound Jewish. And he's made it very clear over and over again how much he hates Israel. I mean, heck, the guy wanted to arrest Netanyahu with a court that we don't even recognize at the ICC. Think about that. And then he didn't get his way, so what does he do a couple of days later? He comes out with a searchable database with 30,000 names, most of which are Jewish, and says, here's their name, here's their address. I mean, I don't even think it's legal. I think it's a total violation of property. We talked about that yesterday, because I don't think you can actually do this. I mean, you think about the negligence rules. If anybody's actually hurt, they're going to say, well, the city gave everybody the address, for goodness sakes. I don't think for privacy reasons you can actually single out one group of people. I mean, we got kind of a maniac here, a total, utter maniac. And Alan Dershowitz was on Newsmax recently and said something that I thought was pretty darn compelling. Like, we haven't seen anything like this. He's not going to actually compare him to Hitler, but he said, we haven't seen anything like this since the 1930s. Listen to this.
He reminds me of some of the people, not Hitler, I wouldn't ever make an analogy, but some of the people in the Nazi Party in 1932 and 1933 when they were running for office, and when Jews didn't feel safe in the streets of Berlin or Hamburg. And many Jews don't feel safe today. My family lived...
He goes on to say, it cut out a little bit there, but he went on to say, like, his family lives on the Upper West Side, et cetera, and they don't feel safe, understandably. People there don't feel safe because, by the way, he just had 2 guys stabbed while somebody's shouting Allahu Akbar. And this guy says he's going to protect them. I mean, and then he comes out with the list. Wow, wow, wow. So guess what? Fox News running this story. Mamdani sparks fears of violence after doxing wealthy New York City property owners. I mean, I think these things are connected. And I think he's going to pay the price eventually. But in the interim, we've got Kathy Hochul with the new poll showing she's also paying the price. The entire Democratic Party, by the way, is going to pay the price, as they should.
Minds of the American public are weak, to quote the great Tony Blair. I mean, just look at this. Just look at these net approval ratings of Democrats in Congress. In late February, at the beginning of the war, it was minus 41 points, minus 39, minus 39. And so you're just looking at these numbers right here, and you go to yourself, no wonder what's going on at this point, that Democrats simply put cannot take the ball and run with it and actually in the polls be trusted more and run, because the Democrats in Congress simply put are not well liked. In fact, these are the 3 lowest on record in terms of percentage points for the approval for Democrats in Congress. So it all puts together a picture. Donald Trump and Republicans may not be liked, but Democrats in Congress are really hated.
A lot of this is D on D crime. I mean, there are Democrats.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying they are really hated, and they don't have anybody around them that's actually giving them a message that's going to actually help them. So New York is waking up to the problem they have in light of Mamdani. They're going to, it looks like they're going to vote Kathy Hochul out. And I'm just saying it can't happen soon enough. It really can't. I mean, look, even the New York Times is turning on Comrade Mamdani. I mean, when you got Paul Krugman, yeah, Polly Boy from Princeton University, who's got a gig moonlighting at the New York Times and thinks he's the be-all, end-all. Here he is writing, Mamdani's Netanyahu stunt was a waste of his talent and our time. He goes on to say, New York is the only city in the world in which at least 750,000 Jews and Muslims apiece, live side by side, rather than being a constructive bridge builder between them. Mamdani, the city's first Muslim mayor, has chosen to be a bridge destroyer, using the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as his axe. That's his excuse, right? My theory is this guy was handpicked from like some Iranian bigwigs, right? To come in here and try and be a you-know-what disturber, to try and mess up the U.S. vis-a-vis Israel, and to kind of bring us to the place that we are right now. It is such a waste of truly charismatic political talent. I underlined that in red, and at first I had a question mark next to it, and then I changed it to an exclamation point, because the question mark, I mean, I'm like, look, Pauly boy, you're not really a good judge of talent at all. I don't think the guy's that talented or that charismatic. I think he actually sounds kind of coy and kind of like maybe a poor man's Obama. But I changed it to an exclamation point because I think this tells you a little bit again about how the left feels and the media feels. Like they love him. They love him. Like they love this Mamdani. They love him. And so for the New York Times to come out with an op-ed like this by Tom Friedman, oh, forgive me, I was saying Krugman. What am I saying? Polyboy, Krugman. Okay, I like Tom Friedman. Okay, so this actually makes more sense. Maybe we actually need... Sorry, guys. How did I'm just assuming liberal columnists, right, from the New York Times, who's the go-to? It's Paul Krugman. I guess Paul Krugman can't come out and actually do this. Tom Friedman's actually a smarter guy. So it doesn't change the point, though, that the New York Times has had it with Mamdani. And I'm just saying they should have realized this a long time ago. They should have realized that this guy was no good. I mean, he told us over and over again. I ran sound for you yesterday of him back in 23, like saying really bad stuff about Israel. I ran sound for you yesterday of him at the mosque. And they're talking about killing the infidel. And he's sitting there with a cheery face. This guy is now the figurehead in the Democrat Party alongside AOC and Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. I mean, Stephen Miller said it well, right? Stephen Miller was like, yeah, it's all the losers and the crazies that they got. And the reason this has happened is because they didn't find anything to stand for. All they could, they were like Mask City, whatever Fauci says is absolutely right because, he's the god through the whole COVID thing. You understand that when this all came crumbling down, and we saw this on display in the hearings today, pretty remarkably so, it all came crumbling down. So their entire sort of existence was built on lies. They literally worshipped Anthony Fauci, and it came out in the diaries that he loved it, right? He was like really into his stardom. It also came out today that he was making a ton of extra cash on the side because he had his federal employees reportedly like putting together applications for all these various, they're not scholarships, awards, I guess, awards that he could, one of them was like $900,000. He won it. I mean, they couldn't do enough for him. Barbara Streisand was calling him up on the phone. I mean, this is all coming out. So this is their party. They get the party of the anti-Semitics, the communists, and the nut jobs that just worshipped Fauci. I mean, you pick a side. Which one are you? Oh, Letitia, she's no dummy. Letitia James came out. She picked a side the other day.
What I do want to say is that it's really critically important that individuals understand that anti-Semitic acts have been growing in the city of New York. It's really critically important. And then also acts against the Asian community have also been on the increase. So it's important that I stand with my Jewish friends, that I stand with my Asian friends, that I let everyone know that there should not be any space between any of us. That we should stand together against any form of hate, any act of hate in the city and the state of New York, that it will not be tolerated. It's important that the Jewish community understand and know that they are not alone. That I and others in the African American community stand together. It's also important that members of the Asian community know that I and members of the African American community stand with them. And that hate will not be tolerated in this city and or in this state. I'm praying for the city. I'm praying for the state. I'm praying for this nation. I'm praying for everyone, obviously, who recognizes that we're all in this together, that we're all God's children, and that we It's important that we not assign any particular outcome to this investigation. It's an unassailable truth that we cannot leave any one community to bear the burden of hate and fear alone. That combating anti-Semitism and hate against the Asian community is a responsibility of all of us, all New Yorkers, all Americans.
Okay. So amazing, right? But she knows where her bread is buttered in New York, and it's really kind of a stupid idea to come out against so many people that are living there in that city, and that you want to like turn. I mean, it really does feel. I agree with Dershowitz. It's feeling 1930s-esque. All right. So Mamdani is bad news. I think he's a plant. But you know what? Here's the good news. Here's the good news. America's stronger. Israel's stronger. We're all strong. Republicans are stronger, and eventually he's going to go up in smoke, and Kathy Hochul may go up in smoke as well because of her alliance. Here you go. How fitting is this? Mr. Comrade Mamdani wants to have an ID card for anyone trying to get food from his communist grocery store.
Question about the central basket of goods. You said they're going to be 30% cheaper than they would be at the grocery store down the street, or even if there's one not down the street. How are you going to keep people from taking advantage of that, that deal, basically? And is there going to be a limit on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that central basket?
So our RFP makes very clear that this is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling. I'm going to pass it over to our EBC head, Chief Tax additional.
Yes, when you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be a sort of library card estimate, and also we manage who's buying and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers.
You're going to make sure that they have identification. Oh, wow. Hope it makes sense.
Trust the experts. Trust the experts. Trust the science. Trust the science. CDC, CDC. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Mask on, mask off. 2 shots, 1 shot. Mask on, 2 masks. Comply, comply.
Thank you all for coming out and risking your lives. Who wants a shot? Who wants to see a ball game? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Wave your flipper. That's for you. Go see the ball game. Who wants to work again? That's for you. Who wants their kids educated? What's in the shot? It's safe. Don't worry. Don't worry. Go ahead. Get it. 6 foot safe. Social distance, 6 foot safe.
Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
5 foot danger. 6 foot safe. 5 foot danger. If you're 6 foot safe, I'm 5 foot danger. I'm coming to breathe on you. I'm the grandma killer. Listen to the rules. Here come the governors. Bump, 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 bump. We have no laws laws and regulations. We shall determine who is essential. We shall determine who may go at your house and who shall have a muffin. And remember, if you see any children playing outside together, report them and their parents. This is for your safety. 6 foot safe. And then the news cockatoos come out.
Watch the news, watch the news. Trust the experts, trust the experts. Trust the science, trust the science. CDC, CDC, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Mask on, mask off, 2 shots, 1 shot, mask on, 2 masks. Comply, comply.
People want to fight and argue. You don't understand what's going on. Everyone knows a doctor. I know doctor. And they told me like there's a stockpile.
Facts and figures, facts and...
So basically, those skeptics.
For Donald Trump, why would you vote for Donald Trump? Maybe because the left is trying to destroy America and they literally tried to murder our president. Maybe because Kamala Harris's platform was the stupidest thing I've ever seen and I don't want all of our tax money going to that. Maybe because the amount of fraud in this country disgusts me and I work my butt off just to give 20% of it at least to the government. Maybe because I get called a terrorist for being a Christian in a free Christian nation, mind you. Maybe because the other side can't even say the Pledge of Allegiance. Maybe because me, as somebody in the working class, is paying for people who are not working. I'm tired of this woke garbage. Everybody keeps asking me what that means, and the basic definition of it is being politically correct, meaning you don't have a foundation to stand on, meaning your definition of what's right and wrong keeps changing. But one day it's no kings, the next day it's LGBT, and the day after that the kids are in the strip club and we're calling it story hour. I voted for Donald Trump because I'm an American, I'm proud to be American, and we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Republicans are nothing like Democrats. We're the real Americans.
Oh, you're the real Americans. Well, thank fucking God. I thought the rest of us were just renting the place. See, the government doesn't even need MK Ultra anymore. All they need is enough stupid motherfuckers volunteering to screw things up all by themselves. One loud dipshit at a time, doing the control work for free. So here's a wild idea. Do everybody a favor. Get up off your knees, stand up like a fucking adult, return the knee pads, and stop fondling the same two-party circus the government helped build. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing, happens to work. You know, anything different, that's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all of the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class. Keep them fuck bother praying in the first place. Seems like a big waste of religion easily has the best bullshit story of all time. Think about it. Religion convinces people religion is nothing but mind control. Religion is just trying to control your mind, control your thoughts. So they're going to tell you some things you shouldn't say because they're sins. And besides telling you things you shouldn't say, religion's going to suggest to you some things you ought to be saying. Here's something you ought to say first thing when you wake up in the morning. Here's something you ought to say just before you go to sleep at night. Here's something we always say on the third Wednesday in April after the first full moon in spring at 4 o'clock when the bells ring. Religion.
We was kids and our parents would send us off to public school with a little $2 or $1.50 or something like that to get some lunch. I get my little apple juice and a chicken patty or a slice of pizza or something. But there was always those kids, you know, man, those cool kids, or depending on who you ask, the troublemakers. They'd always get the free lunch. You know, and then they'd be bragging and showing off. They got the extra chocolate milks. They're selling them for 50 cents. You know, they got their extra apple juice and whatnot. They're trading them for cookies. And I always felt like I was missing out on something. And I go home and ask my mom, why the other kids, why the cool kids get the free lunch? And I'm over here paying for it. I look silly. I don't get it half as much as they do. And she sat me down and said, hey, son, it's because they need it more than you. And even as a kid, I sat there and thought, that's bullshit. As you start to get older, you start putting two and two together and realize, for the most part, your parents weren't shit. And you kids, as they got older, they say, hey, I'm not going to put my kid in that position. I'll be damned if my kid got to stand at a reduced lunch line. That's not the case. These kids grow up to be worse than their parents. They end up being the EBT community that we see today. No sense of urgency to get off it. No internal pressure to do better because it's all they know. And now it's not just a temporary situation. It's ingrained in black culture. Look, I say all this to say that you can either get up and get after it, like the rest of us, or you can choose to stay down. But don't act like both choices deserve the same respect.
Criminal wrongdoing as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein during this Turning Point USA event, Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles give the perfect response. And this is very important. I wanted to show you guys this because this is the button that the liberals are pressing right now. Jeffrey Epstein and all these questions and conspiracy theories around his network and what he was doing is being weaponized against President Trump. This right here is how you respond intelligently to those accusations. Take a look.
Thanks for having me up here today. You both have been strong supporters of Donald Trump, even with his documented association with Jeffrey Epstein and repeated inconsistencies and how that relationship has been described. So my question is simple. How do you continue to defend support given the concerns raised by the Department of Justice failure to fully release all the related files, along with flight logs, Epstein's birthday materials, his shifting explanations for falling out, and other related documents?
Okay, so the first question I would ask on this, because I'm very concerned with political corruption in both parties. It's mostly on the left, but it can exist on the right too. So my first question, which always comes up and that you've alluded to, is that the Department of Justice is covering up the Jeffrey Epstein files under Donald Trump. Now, I would point out that Jeffrey Epstein was prosecuted in the mid-2000s. And so there have been lots of files during the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and the Biden administration, in addition to the Trump administration. The only administration that has released any files relating to Jeffrey Epstein is the Trump administration, which is very important. Now, how many files have been released? Was it 3 or 4 or 5? The number thus far is 3.5 million files, which is the single largest declassification in the history of the United States, which is very important context here. Furthermore, one cannot merely declassify all investigations, all emails, all accusations made against someone, because people have the right to be assumed innocent until they're proven guilty. And so you would be committing a political crime, a legal crime, against anybody who is named in this. To your point, you say President Trump associated with Jeffrey Epstein, which is true, he did. The problem is that, like everybody in the United States associated with Jeffrey Epstein, like the whole faculties of the Ivy League universities, the top politicians of both parties, and those associations can be relatively minor or they can be more extensive. If you're Bill Clinton and you were flying around on the Lolita Express for years on end, that would be a much more extensive association than with President Trump. To the question of Donald Trump, what I would always ask is, what crime is being alleged here with regard to President Trump's erstwhile association with Jeffrey Epstein? And I never really get a solid answer on that.
So first of all, I'll address the Department of Justice's failure. I agree it's very difficult, but there was also numerous cases. The only information that was supposed to be redacted is names of the victim,
But what about names of the accused, or the people who are not even accused, but insinuated of committing a crime without any charges and without any firm accusation?
Law is not, if you're embarrassed by it, it's victims and then something.
There's no law to keep it as transparent every email from everyone who's ever accused of a crime or not accused of a crime. That's the point. And what's been lost in this saga is the right of people to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. So at the very least, we need to allege a crime that someone has committed. And in the case of all of the hoopla, which is mostly coming from President Trump's consistent political enemies on the left, though there's a little bit on the right as well, my question remains, and I never get a good answer, is what crime is actually being alleged here?
All the stuff that went on
what's the stuff? What's the crime?
Can I please speak? Sorry. Pedophilia, raping children, sex trafficking of women.
What are you accusing Trump of doing?
Trump has been so I'm going to go into this. Trump has been on record lying about
lived under socialism is that you learn how bad it is. And so you don't want to make those same mistakes. What's concerning to me is that after I came to America a decade ago, I learned that there were actually people who believed in these ideas, who believed that what happened in Venezuela was not due to socialism, but, it's just another corrupt government. Well, guess what? Most countries are corrupt. There are corrupt people in the U.S. government, too. Remember Senator Menendez? I don't want to touch sensitive subjects, but there are corrupt people in every government in the world. There are many corrupt countries. Not many countries have 8 million people flee from their country, a third of the population. Not many countries starve to death, even corrupt countries, because you have to take people's freedom for that to happen. Even countries that are dictatorships. Do you see people starving in the streets of Dubai? Even during the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz? No. Do you see refugees flowing out of Saudi Arabia when oil prices go down? Do you even see countries that are sanctioned starve to death? No. So why is Venezuela? Why is Cuba? Why are all these socialist countries different? Because the common denominator is that they destroy free enterprise. You cannot start a business, you cannot feed your family, therefore you die and you flee. It's that simple.
All right, so in that video, the big takeaway is that when you seize the means of production, that's when a country dies. So let's just take a look at the Democratic Socialists of America and what do they want to do? It is right here in black and white. We want to collectively own the key economic drivers that dominate our lives, such as energy production and transportation. They want to seize the means of production. Here it is again. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries. This is seizing the means of production. Don't just listen to that text. Let's actually listen to real socialists that are running as political candidates in America. Here's Bill Maher, who's highlighting them.
New soon-to-be Democratic Congresspeople, Darlisia Chevalier, supports seizing all properties from landlords and said seize the means of production. Mendami has said the end goal is seizing the means of production. I think they want to seize the means of production. Now, maybe you missed that in school or missed school altogether, but that's communism. That's communism, which we tried, and it doesn't work. Parties can change sometimes, You have to keep up. Who freed the slaves? Republicans, Lincoln. Democrats were the racist party back then, but then JFK got elected and it switched. The DSA itself has switched, even 5 years ago. It shunned communists. That changed. Things change. Now the coalition within the DSA, called the Marxist Unity Group, is in ascendance, and I must take them at their word when their words include our commitment is to the long-term struggle for a fully liberated, classless society, in a word, communism. What do they have to do? Tweet out, elect more communists? Oh yeah, Sia Weaver did that. Yes. Good, I'm glad you're shocked.
About to backfire because the party is pitching a big tent. Lefty streamer Hassan Piker, though, is ready to tear down that tent. He's the visionary of the left. He's the visionary of Democratic Socialist, and it's his party, Piker's party. And that party has an invite list. One of those invitees is Wisconsin gubernatorial candidate and Democratic Socialist, Francesca Hong. Over the weekend, Hong popped up alongside Ilhan Omar and Piker.
Is it a risk appearing alongside these guys as you kind of frame and head into the general?
It would be risk not to try to build the broadest coalition possible.
I'm not sure I'd turn to Hong for risk analysis. I'm not sure she's in line for a job at Barclays. Not when she thinks that Piker, a guy like this, wouldn't be a risk.
America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it. It doesn't even matter. None of this justifies that Palestinians have a right to dignity, a right to emancipation, a right to live free lives, free from this occupation. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much.
Piker, though, says that he's not a risk. In fact, he's a net benefit. Just look to Michigan, where Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed has stood side by side for many months now with Hassan Piker. And again, according to Hassan, that's a net positive.
That's a state that Trump won. And Abdul El-Sayed is my guy. There was a lot of controversy surrounding my affiliation with him, and there was a month of media coverage. And in the aftermath of that, polls came out, and it showed that Abdul had actually risen to the top.
Bernie Sanders is not echoing that level of optimism. He seems less convinced about Abdul Sayed.
How confident are you that he's going to win on Tuesday? Can he pull out a victory?
Look, he has taken on, I've never, I'm not a political scientist. I cannot recall where a major candidate was outspent so much by super PACs.
Piker, though, as I said, is a visionary, not just a kingmaker. And he has a vision, not just as who should be elected to office, but as to the future of the Democratic Socialist of America. When asked a very interesting question about what he would add to the platform, a platform that includes abolishing the Senate, here's what he said about the future of the DSA.
Arrest and prosecute and bring about corruption charges for every prominent member of this administration that is engaged in corruption, and prosecute and arrest ICE agents that have also done crimes as well on the job. That would be a platform position that I would want to see from the Democratic Socialists of America.
Bring out the secret police, said the man fancying Mao costumes. It is an interesting question. What would you add to the platform of the Democratic Socialists of America? That same question was asked of Francesca Hong, and she had something to say, something that resembled a right that we absolutely already have in America: self-determination.
Indicated that you don't agree with the entire DSA national platform. What would you add to it if you could add something, or what do you think is missing?
I think there should be a right to self-determination, that everyone has the freedom to be themselves, and that we're protecting communities and their right to be able to be themselves.
What does that mean, a right to self-determination, and how today is any American denied the right to self-determination? It's basically embodied, not just in our Constitution, but in our way of life. What Hong is actually suggesting is that somehow someone else's choices should require you to celebrate. She'd like to write it into the Constitution of the DSA that everybody's single choice would be treated like the welcoming line at the Jennifer Hudson show. People lining the hallways, clapping and singing as you dance down to whatever desired choice it is you've made in life. That's her vision, truthfully, about the right to self-determination. It's an interesting concept, though, the right to self-determination. Bill Maher sums all this up nicely.
I'm just going to say it. Since the far left, the far, far left, is overwhelmingly made up of affluent, ultra-woke white people, you raised your kids wrong. You told your precious brats that every brain fart was genius, and now those brain farts are becoming Democratic Party policy.
Self-determination. It's not a concept, though, that's extended to, for example, the state of Israel. Instead of self-determination, when it comes to that singular dividing issue, what we're talking about now, according to Piker, is the right to resist for Hamas.
Why do you express support for Hamas?
Well, I wouldn't say I express support for all.
Charlie.
Fire, because the
Abolishing policing is one segment of reforming and reevaluating our criminal justice system. Using those funds from using the funds after we've eliminated the access to eliminating funds for the police needs to be put into rehabilitation services, mental health services for those in prison, making sure that we are looking at decreasing our prison population.
Thank you guys staying with me. Thank you guys staying with me. It's been 2 hours and 28 minutes. Thank you. Thank you.
This woman just talked about abolishing the police and eliminating funds for the police department. And here, I'm going to read you the definition of abolish. To abolish means to officially end or completely do away with a law, system, practice, or institution. She's talking about abolishing police, completely eliminating funding as well. This is the candidate for governor in the state of Wisconsin. I should say a candidate for governor in the state of Wisconsin. She is the leading Democratic candidate. These are the type of individuals that Democrats think it's okay to put in charge of a state. Oh, I didn't tell you, by the way, she's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. On top of that, she was just sued, and this is interesting. She was sued for unpaid credit card debt. And she was sued this year, May 26 of 2026. The amount was $29,000, $29,300 she was sued for an unpaid credit card debt. And her family bailed her out. They paid the debt. Just like a socialist, go run up an expense and then have somebody else pay it. She does it in her personal life. She is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist again, and she's talking about abolishing police. It's up to us to ensure that these people do not gain traction. And if you're in Wisconsin, get prepared to vote. Check if you're registered to vote. And if you're not registered, register. I basically developed a personal voting tool called Precinct. Here's the homepage of the website. You can click that not registered to vote to register, and what it'll do, it'll route you to your state's registration page. Here's what it'll look like. For example, if you're in Wisconsin, you select Wisconsin, and then you can check your registration or register. So again, once you click either one of those buttons, it's going to take you to the necessary page to do that, so you don't have to go look for the right pages on how to do it. I've made this tool to help conservative turnout, to make it easy to register, easy to check if you're registered, along with easy to see information about candidates. So for example, I used a random residential address in Wisconsin, and I typed that in, and now you can see the candidates that are on your ballot specifically. So there's the federal level. Now we're at the state level in the Democratic primary, and this is for governor, and the Republican primary for governor. So if you or someone you know needs to register to vote, this is a quick way to get to the right place to do it. To access Precinct, just go to the link in my profile. When you click the link, it'll be medex.com. This is the screen you'll see. Under applications right there, click Precinct, and then it'll take you right there. Below that is my email newsletter as well, if you want that. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.
Tell the truth in such a way to make you believe the lie they want you to believe, like Harry Sisson is trying to do here.
So Canadians have been boycotting the United States and not traveling here because of Donald Trump,
And it really worked. Canadians made 29.1 million trips to the United States in 2025, which is down from 39 million in 2024. The drop was the sharpest in more than 50 years of record keeping. And it's not like Canadians just stopped traveling altogether. They just started going other places. So for example, trips to Asia from Canada jumped 16.7% year over year. Trips to Europe also rose 13.6% year over year. So Canada gave Donald Trump the middle finger, and it looks like it worked.
Yep, everything he said is true, but he just did what I warned you about. He told you the truth in such a way to make you believe the lie that he wants you to believe. He wants you to believe that all those Canadians are going to all those other countries because they're boycotting Trump and showing Trump who's boss. That's what he wants you to believe. That could be one reason. Or it could be because their currency is collapsing.
The Canadian dollar continues to slump, and it couldn't come at a worse time for those looking to travel to foreign countries this summer. The loonie is now hovering around 70 cents US after flirting with the 74-cent mark back in May. Analysts say the strength of the American dollar is a big reason as the US benefits from big investments in artificial intelligence, while Canada's economy remains mostly stuck in neutral. But with interest rates likely to be cut stateside later this year, some insiders believe the Canadian dollar could eventually rebound to about 75 cents.
That's what's really happening. The Canadian currency is collapsing, and Harry Sisson, he takes that as a win. That somehow it benefits Canada, the American people, and everybody else, that's happening. Because he's trying to take that as a political win. Hey, we got you. We got you, Donald. They're not boycotting Donald. They're boycotting the strongest economy on the planet. Why? Because they can't afford to come here. They're too poor. In fact, if Canada became a state, they'd be the second poorest state in the nation. You're welcome.
You're watching the Kramer Says Project.
Many Americans, even many conservatives, was this virtuous Christian pastor who just wanted peace and for society to judge people based on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. Schools are named after this guy. You spend years learning about him as a kid. He's the only man to have his own federal holiday, plus monuments, statues, streets. You get the idea. Turns out everything about this guy was a lie. First off, MLK actually rejected the divinity of Christ. He wrote a whole essay saying that calling Christ divine is actually detrimental and harmful. He also criticized the Bible for containing legends and myths. He even described the virgin birth as downright improbable. This is not very Christian, but he was selected purposefully to be the figurehead of this movement rather than other influential black figures at the time, guys like Jackie Robinson, because it was thought that he'd be able to use Christian language to appeal to America, even though his actual agenda was completely different. And that was when it was his writing. It turns out he plagiarized nearly everything else. Scholars from Stanford University and the King Papers Project found in 1990 that MLK plagiarized nearly all of his other works, including his doctoral dissertation. But Boston University refused to revoke his doctorate, even though in literally any other case they would have. What a privilege.
Okay, but what was his real agenda?
Dude, so true. Turns out King was a communist for his entire career. He attended the Highlander Folk School in 1957, which was a Communist Party USA front for training radicals. His right-hand man, Bayard Rustin, founded the Southern Christian Leadership Council with him, was also a young Communist League member who attended Communist Party USA conferences. One of his main advisors was Stanley Levinson, also happened to be a big financer and supporter of Communist Party USA. Ghost wrote a ton of stuff for King, including the famous I Have a Dream speech. Also, King's biographer David Garrow revealed that King would frequently call himself a Marxist when conversing with close friends. He also totally supported reparations and affirmative action. In fact, he gave a Playboy interview in 1964 where he essentially called for a $50 billion program to basically just give black people free money. Also, as his close friend Ralph Abernathy spilled in his memoir, King liked to embezzle donations for alcohol, drugs, hookers. On speaking tours, he would hire prostitutes for hotel orgies lasting days at a time. One time, he was caught on tape actually laughing while a woman was sexually assaulted in front of him in a hotel room. Even the night before his assassination, Abernathy said he bedded 2 women and beat a third in his Memphis. Guy has all the tapes, even though a judge ordered them sealed until 2027. That's how King spent his last night on Earth after delivering his biblically inspired mountaintop speech in Memphis. Lastly, the claim that MLK was some peace-loving guy, not exactly true. He of course went to great lengths to present himself as this peaceful activist, but that was mostly an optics thing. In one of his most famous speeches, King rationalized riots by calling them the language of the unheard. So yeah, King was just trying to cover his ass. He knew that the fear of rioting and looting could be used as something that could coerce white people into accepting race communism. In fact,
back, this was so obvious that there were literally newspaper cartoons at the time making fun of how ridiculous and false this all was. I guess the peaceful protest strategy in 2020 wasn't really that new. So no, MLK was not a real Christian. He was not a virtuous man. He was not a real doctor. He was not some colorblind conservative, and he was not committed to peace. He would be just as woke as all of his colleagues ended up being if he were still alive today. I did a whole hour-long breakdown of this on my YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Their nutbag, Francesca Hong, a Dem socialist in the Wisconsin's governor race. Her long past of radical tweets was unearthed this week. And I love unearthed tweets, for they're a snapshot of what they really thought before it mattered. The transformation since then, always remarkable. It's like when I recently found out that I had dated Rachel Maddow for 3 years in high school. Thank you. Hong once called to cancel Thanksgiving, claiming it celebrates colonialism. Great, cancel Thanksgiving. What's left in November? Besides Bill Hemmer's birthday. Ugh, he always asks for the same thing. And he knows I won't do that. Wash his car. During COVID, Hong told fellow Asians they were anti-black and benefited from white privilege, which is nuts since it's us whiteys who copy off their homework. She once referred to women as birthing bodies, which we all know is untrue. They're make-me-a-sandwich bodies. Of course, she also wants to abolish ICE, the Senate, the police. In fact, she's so radical, even she realizes how crazy she sounds, which is why, with the election nearing, she wants to evolve.
It's going to be very easy for people to put up on the board and say, you said, abolish the Senate, defund the police, abolish the police. And why should they not believe that you would want to do that you would try to do that if you became governor?
I believe that people can evolve. We meet Trump voters from previous elections who now would like to vote for me, who have a sign in their yard.
So who needs to evolve, the voter or you?
The governor cannot defund the police, and I won't defund the police.
And yet, here's the tweet that says otherwise. I mean, it's right there, lady. It's funny how Dems always evolve come election time. Sorry, you can't be trans when it comes to politics. You can't say I was a democratic socialist, but now I'm sane, so vote for me. Because when they win, the old version magically reappears. Meanwhile, the Dems tell you it's no big deal.
Democratic socialists winning across the country. And you've heard a lot of people say that if you're not going to just kind of fit in nicely with the Democratic establishment, you shouldn't be a Democrat.
Well, maybe the converse is true. Maybe the Democratic establishment should begin to understand they are way, way out of touch.
I want to ask you specifically about a new ad that we saw from Republican candidate Mike Rogers trying to paint this idea of this fear of communism and socialism in Michigan.
You know, that is a lot of political noise.
Just noise? Well, you know what noise is? It's the sounds from orphan stomachs when they watch me eat their care packages. Then there's the media desperately trying to help the beleaguered Democrats.
Let's start with the socialists.
Oh, okay.
That nobody's talking about. Here you have Republicans, small government Republicans, running up the biggest deficits, the biggest debt ever, crippling this country, the biggest spending ever, the biggest socialized schemes ever. They point at a radical fringe group in the Democratic Party and claim, oh, this is what Democrats are doing to socialists. And yet, you actually have Republicans practicing socialism.
That's not socialism, it's a deficit. And Joe, didn't you just say the Dems must reject socialism? I guess his opinions shift depending on how hard Mika decides to squeeze his nuts. Thank you. Thoughtful commentary. So don't be fooled. The Dems offer no resistance. In fact, they're welcoming it and call it a big tent, but there's no big tent if there's no shared consensus based on real principles. Instead, it's an open field, and in came the termites that will devour the tent poles until it collapses. But it was the Dems' decades of cowardice that said the party is here for the taking. It's not just that we welcome your insane values, it's that we don't protect our own. It's not just an open door policy, it's a signal to come right in and take over. Because if they did value their values, wouldn't they defend them? It's It's like a husband or wife who asks their spouse if they can have an open relationship. Nothing says you value your marriage like asking your wife if you can bang her sister. Joe. But what's the Democrat Party sound like? No barrier to entry and no requirement once you're in to assimilate? The party's a victim to their own border strategy. Under Joe, the border was erased, the wall halted. If you hate us, come on in and bring sectarian violence with you. And that created a steady flow of transplanted activists ready to exploit our freedoms for their own subversive agenda. So don't expect these socialists to suddenly unite with Dems over core values. You've seen these people. It's join the revolution or get canceled. They don't assimilate to you, you assimilate to them. So that's your big tent. But it's more like a circus tent, where soon you'll be seeing old Democrats shot out of a cannon. Let's
And the separation of powers isn't? Get your head out of your ass. I would vote for Sarah Palin before this.
These communists want to abolish the Supreme Court, the Senate, and the presidency, but really, they're abolishing turnout.
I've been a Democrat my whole life. This past primary in Ohio, I went and asked for the Republican ballot, which makes me a Republican now. There's many reasons for that. This Democratic Socialist movement, this chicken has been coming home to roost for a long, long time.
Ohio, that's the Rust Belt. And tomorrow, the revolution has a big test there. Super Commie Tuesday. The establishment's wetting the bed. Don the John, the guy who wants to unionize prostitutes and ban police chases, he's on the ballot in Michigan. And Shree's on the streets on his knees.
I'm asking for your vote so I can continue fighting the Trump administration, continue fighting their corruption and their lawlessness.
Shree's so desperate he's dancing. Look at that. Dancing with any grandma who'll take his hand. The big buzz is about the other commie race in the Wolverine state, Abdul. The old-timers are already writing their own autopsy. Listen.
Let's take in Michigan. Now, Al-Said is highly competent, but he's way left. I see challenges from the, quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them.
Abdul, not listening.
You are down 46 points with black primary voters. I know you're going to tell me you don't chase polls, you chase voters, but that is a significant gap. What explains that gap to you?
I'll just note that that poll is brought to you by the same exact pollster who did this last poll. Even in those polls, our polling shows that we're neck and neck in the black community.
Abdul's got a problem. Blacks don't like him. So he's been hitting up black churches, cookouts, just hoping for some sizzle. But he made a big mistake. One black voter last week got in his face. Quote, I'm a big pro-Obama person and you're dogging his wife. Abdul went after Michelle, blasted her school lunch program. So now there's beef. Even Clyburn doesn't like this guy. Told blacks, vote for Haley, the white girl. The other big race in the Rust Belt, Wisconsin governor. Democrats are stuck with this woman, Francesca Hong. She thinks tipping's racist.
Our industry really did come from it and kind of is rooted in white supremacy, that tipping in itself. If we look at the history of tipping and how racist it is and how it has kept wages low for black people for a very long time.
So she wants to defund your tips and police, and she hates holidays. Christmas, she's been naughty. Quote, IT bro who was working on our computer remotely changed the background theme to snow and Christmas trees. I feel slightly attacked. Valentine's Day? Awful. I miss working in a restaurant every day, except on V-Day, as if we weren't invisible enough to those who don't recognize the emotional and physical labor of service work. The worst of humanity comes out from folks celebrating on another day capitalism tells you how to show love. Is Hong married? Divorced. She also hates 4th of July. I do not enjoy fireworks. But what she hates the most are whites. I ate 2 bites of my kid's cheeseburger at a Culver's in Black River Falls and told them they ran out of ice cream. Mostly just wanted to leave BC. I was on the verge of an anxiety attack. Too many old white people who didn't think we spoke English. This woman can't be in a room with white people without getting anxious. 75% of the state's white. She's running for governor. Now, when Hong was younger, she was hospitalized for a week. Checked into a psych ward. Missed graduation. She was cutting herself. Woman's bipolar. Her parents immigrated from Korea. She felt guilty about it. She dropped out of college, worked at a restaurant, then opened up her own restaurant, ran it like a communist soup kitchen, and paid wild salaries.
To deliver on the values of the Declaration of Independence more than capitalism has. Yeah.
New York's turning it into a testing ground. Mondani, another one who's never...
Cuss a lot, so there's your pinche warning, but welcome to my fucking TED Talk. This goes out to all the fucking melanated people that look like me, darker than me, cara de pinche nopales. The pink-haired, blue-haired, green-haired, penis-queefing, fat-ass tortas. The ones who support the true enemy of the United States, the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. Why is it every single fucking time I ask one of you fucking pickle ticklers why you're supporting the DSA member over a regular fucking Democrat? It's always one of you fucking magicians that can sit on a fucking cucumber and make it disappear. That live in LA, Denver, New York City, Chicago, Portland, Seattle, Philly, that always tell me you're supporting them because you want change. You want something different. You want something new. So the first thing you pendejos do is go further left and support those fucking further left policies while not realizing you want something fucking new from the liberal and progressive fucking policies that ran your fucking cities and states into the fucking ground, you stupid ass dumb motherfuckers. And you wonder why the Democrat Party sits here and takes advantage of the black community, the brown community. It's because of you stupid motherfuckers.
I don't think we are in a good...
Yep, there you go, you guys. On the real, he let them have it. No lefties have it. All right, you guys, it's been about 3 hours. Just about. I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. You guys are a blessing. I really appreciate it. I'll be checking the Discord out, you guys. I'll be on the Discord. Catch you guys later. Blessings.